too exhausted, I needed the energy, needed to pick me up. I'm in your movie, but this is my cinema. I got the power, I'm built to devour anyone coming against me a tower. I don't cave in the pressure. Some of y'all leaving here in a stretcher. Took my time to go and get better. I was reading in the red letters. Ay, hit me with your best shot. I got time today. Feeling like a matador with that Red Bull. Oh no, you can't stop me. I'm running my own play. For the game win, I came to pin anything that gets in my way. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Been here, we done that. We done that. You all know what we came for. You all know what we came for. We been here, we done that. We done that. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. I'm in the game like EA. Been in my prime since pre-K. Shooting my shot from long range. Going over heads like a toupee. Treat every day like payday. Y'all been living so mundane. My work week is Sunday to oh wait, that's every day. Putting in overtime. Punching the clock, I'ma get what's mine. While everyone's sleeping, I'm living my dreams. I got a coin that's so divine. Lord, take the wheel like 10 and 2. I'm losing energy, I'm overdue. I've been on the top ropes, hitting my pros. Watch me hit the power moves. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Been here, we done that. We done that. You all know what we came for. You all know what we came for. We been here, we
Hello everybody, welcome back to Challengers Elite Season 2, the final matches of the group stage as we transition into North America. If you're a first-time viewer, you picked one heck of a day to show up. We've got 5 teams in North America tied at 2 and 4, where only the 4 top and final squads will make it into playoffs. My whole shift, with me, my cohort in Cambria, which is a band, but also I think also a phrase. I've got Austin Visions Neil with me, and I don't know about this, Austin. I don't know if you've checked the calendar lately, but I had to check. I got to second guess my sources here. It's March, and that means it's madness time, baby. It's all March Madness going on, not just in the NCAA, but with all the tiebreaker situations we have. Whoo, it's gonna get hot today.
Oh, well played, Alan. I like that right there. That was good. I mean, it is madness, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We got a bunch of great teams here for us in North America, but guess what? Only 2 of them are going to be able to get in here, meaning that a lot of massive implications on today. So many matches that you're going to have to come out here and win, and almost maybe hope for other teams to win as well to make sure that you have a chance at being able to still make it. So much is going to come through here for us, but we know that's what we love about North America. It always keeps us on the edge of our seats.
Constantly. So let's get a visual representation of all of the words we're saying here, because it really could not be tighter. Look at that dispersion at the bottom between 4th and 8th, 2 and 4. StrikeX currently the team that's kind of suffering the most by overall map count. But the interesting, and I would say arguably the craziest thing about all of this is all of the bottom 6 teams play each other today. It's a battle for first between Texas Nation and Bear Claw Esports. Everybody else has a must-win scenario in front of them to either force tiebreakers or, for whatever it takes, if they find a way to win their matchup today, they will guarantee themselves at least one of the 2 remaining spots left in playoffs.
Yeah, a really big day for them. We know that they've at least seen a little bit of improvement as of late, so that should be a good sign for all of you guys that are fans of whatever it takes. But then as you get down the rest of the list here, as you can see, 5 teams at 2 and 4, meaning that, a lot can obviously be shaken up here for us. Trying to come out here and get yourself a dub is a must if you want a shot at being able to somehow clinch that 4th spot here for us. So we'll see who's going to be able to do it here, Alan, because everyone knows what's on the line.
Indeed the case. Let's take a look, though, as we break down not just these standings, but the schedule and teams at large. The first one up, Ultra Academy, going up against Infamous. And this is an interesting roster. I think a lot of people are very excited about the individual prospects of all 4 of these players based on either their current status or maybe some favor that has been garnered over the course of the last calendar year. But the thing about it is, they have not really kind of justified or made to realization those expectations that we carry. At any given moment in time, you can look back towards Cold War or the beginning of this title and say, ooh, we're excited to see all 4 of these players. But collectively, they have not been able to build kind of the bountiful hopes that, this Toronto Ultra team had found in them when they picked them up as their academy roster for North America.
Yeah, most certainly. I think that, we've been talking a little bit about this roster. Obviously, I'm part of Toronto Ultra, so I've been talking a lot about this team amongst a lot of different people, and it feels like for the most part, I'm looking at this as a little bit of like a role issue right now with what you're seeing. I think you have 4 talented individuals, but putting it together has obviously been a bit of a problem here for them, where you have, the likes of Mohawk and Scrappy back together again. They have 2 great subs at the front line. We've already seen what Hixie can do in the CDL when he had to sub in for Cammy. So that you're not lacking any kind of skill, but being able to get on the same page as a core unit and match the likes of the top teams has certainly been a problem.
Yeah, very much so the case. But as we kind of dig through one team, of course, we have to look at the other side of it. Infamous Esports, well, of course, you may know them as the formerly known as 18 and Cracked roster, who had an unbelievable, if not maybe borderline surprising start to the year, winning the opening cup and finishing top 4 just about in every cup until we got to the regular season. They, of course, made it to playoffs in Season 1 with this roster, but then fell short, losing both to UYU and whatever it takes. So this roster is absolutely 100% battle tested, but the thing about it is, I don't know if we can find much conviction in this roster as they continue to kind of stumble through some of the group stage this season.
Yeah, it's been Really interesting to see a team that was obviously so strong, through the very first stage that maybe didn't have the best playoff run, completely fall off a cliff in a way, after it's just such a great opening performance in the first season. So I feel like this team, really has a lot to prove to us. We talked about the packed-in experience that you have with this entire roster, and then it really felt like Exceed was able to start to flourish because he wasn't having to take, more of this shot calling kind of leadership role. He was a lot more free to be able to focus on his own individual gameplay, and we saw that, beautifully done from Exceed in the very first stage where he was taking over, but we haven't got that same consistency and dependability through each and every one of these members here, besides Assault, it feels like, who's been great individually, but the rest of the members just have not been there for us. So we need to see, big improvement from these guys. Specifically, I feel like you want to see them get back on form with their hardpoint. That was one of their go-to game modes throughout season number 1, and we need to see at least some improvements through some of the respawns hopefully going in towards today.
Well, the biggest thing when we were setting up and kind of putting together our notes for the series, we really couldn't put our finger on one thing in particular. So as we take a look at the 5 maps that we have for this series, we kind of hope that some of the recent results will provide at least some insight into what we've got going on here. Mostly because both of these teams have kind of enjoyed playing Gavudu. We're not going to see it in the hard point. We will see it for map 3 Control, as it's surrounded on either side by a Tuscan Search and a Tuscan hard point. But give me your thoughts on this Bocage coming forward, because one of the biggest things that we're kind of wondering about with this Ultra team were the ARs in particular. I think for a lot of squads, you do see kind of one of those more traditional anchor-style ARs, a slower AR, if you want to call it that, then kind of flanked up with a flex player that can get mixy and get quick. The thing about this is, for both of the ARs for Ultra, they don't really have that slow style AR. They're mostly playing a little bit more loose and gut check. So do you kind of feel like a Bocage may favor this roster more than other maps have this stage so far?
I feel like personally, yes, and just with the way that you have, Hixie and Vikal, like these are the 2 players that I feel like you want to be, running around the map. You want them finding some kind of a comfort zone where they can find a lot of engagements and they can typically bring home a lot of multi kills for you to be able to lock down or break kills. Like those are the 2 players that jump off the page. And then you look at having some of the ARs in the team, like you mentioned. Will they be able to find value on a map like Bocage? I feel like more so yes than a Gavutu. Or even like a Berlin, because you can be a little more mixy. You can get inside of the hill. You can balance, multiple different roles, it feels like, on a map like Bocage, because the map is just so traditionally small. So we'll see if they're going to be able to come out here and actually, put forth that and actually do it, because we know this team has a lot of skill. They have a lot of potential, but being able to actually match up against an 18 and crack team, or rather an infamous team now, you have to really kind of question are there rotations going to be on point? Are their holds going to be effective here, versus a team that I think is really disciplined and is yet not having maybe the great performance so far, can still come out here and I feel like, completely run over teams if they're not ready or prepared for them whatsoever.
So kind of to paraphrase, you're more looking away from just kill efficiency and mostly looking at decision making, is by what I'm kind of gathering by the sound of it.
I feel like that's a huge part of it for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Bocage, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I think for both of these 2 teams, depending on who you may be rooting for, or otherwise if you're just a general fan of the COD scene, both teams are coming off some pretty significant wins on this map mode combo yesterday. For Infamous, it was a 250 to 136 win against Stallions, which is a very important map for them, I think, just in that series, even though they did fall in that series. Whereas for the Toronto Ultra Academy, they won their series versus UYU, and they're able to do so and help that cause by finding a 250 to 165 win on this map mode combination. So as far as recency is concerned, both teams very convincing in their wins. I think I'm mostly curious to see what kind of a meta are we going to get as far as the weapons are concerned, because if you remember, last we had a chance to watch this 18 and crack team, when they were still 18 and crack, play this map, Assault pulled out a Volk, and it was not going all that well for him. So I'm curious, I think, just to see what the weapon loadouts will be, and if that maybe influences what you were talking about of getting involved with the decision making that comes with this map.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, because we know Assault has been the standout, right? When there's ever been somebody you have to kind of rely on to get them to a really important map win, it feels like Assault has been the guy that we've kind of screamed the most whenever those big plays are happening. And I think that his stats overall are carrying over beautifully from season 1, where he is still the top performer. He is still one of the best ARs that we currently have, and he can still do it all. I feel like he can get mixy, he can kind of play this aggressive role when needed, because he has a second AR to rely on, Shani, who can kind of pivot off of his role based off where he is on the map, and they play off of each other typically really well, at least for what we have seen throughout the early stages. But as of recent, has not exactly been there. So can they get back to form? Can they find some of their footing and do what they were doing so well? I think that's really one of the big questions here for us. But they do bring a little creativity from time to time. I mean, no, I don't think we'll get the Volk, because who was it? Yuli, I think, last week, who brought it out there for us too, and he was actually finding moments with it. So I think there are arguments you can bring it out on a map like Bocage. But are you really confident to do it when it's a must win? I feel like that's what you kind of have to ask yourself here. You might have to stick to traditional meta.
It's going to be interesting because, again, it's very hard, I think, just looking at these two teams on paper side by side to one another, not just in what the rosters have for pros and cons, but also statistically through the group stage. It's hard to pick an advantage on one side or the other. I think largely when you look at kind of the general trends, for Infamous, there really isn't a weak game mode for them, but even though the map counts have been tight, and even some of the individual maps by score differential have been very tight, we are not getting that same dominance that we kind of came to know about what this team was in Season 1. And that was the surprising thing, too, was it wasn't that they were just so good in Season 1. They came out and then got into the playoffs and kind of got worked a little bit by both UIU and whatever it takes. And that may have been a bit of a leaf turn, because you got to remember as well, for Cup number 7 most recently, they didn't even make it to Sunday. They finished top 16.
Yeah.
So where is this team at on the spectrum, I think, is kind of the biggest question. Are they consistently just in the middle of the pack? Are they hot and cold? Or do they even have the potential of being a top team, not just in North America, but in challengers at large, looking forward beyond just this stage and getting into the Minnesota Challengers Open, which is coming in about, 3 weeks?
Yeah, we're creeping up on that one really fast. Basically, right after stage 2 for season 2, we jump right into that, right? So it's a quick transition, and we'll see also what changes end up coming in before the Minnesota event, if any. But overall, I think, again, you bring up a really important point where it's like, this is a team that historically has been good. They have a lot of veteranship. So what's not working? Like, what's going so wrong all of a sudden?
Exactly.
And it definitely does raise some concern, at least for the most part here, for as far as what they're going to be able to bring to the table and how they're going to be able to show up here for us. And I feel like, give us something else to talk about other than Adam Assault. I feel like is a really good start, right? I think Shawnee has been the standout when it comes to S&D, but let's start talking about Exceed again. Give us a reason to talk about you. Classic as well. You got picked up, to the Seattle Surge. So some of these members that I think, have obviously been kept for a reason. This team very easily could have said, we're dropping 1 to 2 members before we jump into season 2. They didn't. They chose to stick together. So I think they have to show us why. And today, more than ever, considering the fact that they might not make playoffs if they don't show up.
The interesting thing, and we are waiting for the lobby to get fully launched, there have been a couple of problems, and it looks like we are good to go, is for a team that has found as much success so far throughout this year, it's weird to kind of look at this Infamous team and know that they've done it without any individuals popping off. It has been a full-on team effort from day number 1 when they found success. The thing is, when you compare their team success to a team like Texas Nation, we don't just say that Texas Nation is good as a team. All of them individually are also showcasing some heroic moments. But we get our eyes in the sky. Shade John taking us through the action as we do load in. It's Bocage hardpoint for map number 1. And Infamous Esports, well, we need to start to see if that team dynamic will lead to possibly Adam Assault on the Volk, or will we get a 2-2, if not maybe even a 3-1 meta here for the weapon loadouts.
We'll keep track of that as we go. Nice convincing kill feed here for Toronto Ultra Academy, as they'll find 5 consecutive kills, and this is what we wanted to see, right? Vico having a nice little start here, Hixie as well, but it will be Scrap running the SMG, at least for the side of Ultra Academy, as they're going to be controlling quite a bit of the P1 time. Looks like 15 seconds should come off of it at the very least, and Scrap is already trying to work himself into the back for a potential flip as he finds Exceed, and now can look to excel forward.
So if I'm not mistaken, this is Shawnee and Assault both trying to run double automatons, but how do you break that setup? We've talked about this a lot. We've seen it a lot in the CDL. You've seen teams, of course, like Atlanta pull it out, but also recently Florida's executed on it. And the thing is, you get your SMGs forward and then you let them sit there. You don't do too much because you know those ARs are going to try to retake those long lanes. So good awareness from Ultra Academy. Significant time on the first, and they're putting some pressure over through the barnyard. It just comes down to, can you actually turn this into a spawn flip? In this moment, from Vico may allow it, but the kill comes through at the exact right moment for Classic to make sure that for Infamous Esports, they still spawn close.
I will say, Ultra's been doing at least a decent job of keeping them off of the time here. They still feel really pressured, and it's actually Vico that gets right back on the time before the side of Infamous Esports. So Classic coming through, needs to clear out Barn, able to find a good first pickup, but are they going to be able to actually zone out the front? Looks like finally they will be able to. So Infamous Esports going to have a slight lead. They're able to get the back half of this time, and Exceed already trying to threaten early rotation anew.
This is the type of play that you want to see out of a player like Exceed. You get forward, get first one in, block off the potential early setup from Ultra Academy, turn this into potentially an elongated streak. And tally 2 before falling. Classic on the opposite side, stunned up, not allowing him a chance to fully get behind the tank. So trades are good. Ultra Academy able to not just recover and hold the spawns, but they're doing a nice job of actually putting a little bit of pressure forward into the hard point, resulting in what is some pretty solid time here in the opening 20 seconds of Grandma's house.
Oh, Vikol. He's been playing his life up top for a while now, but Classic will shut it down. Little bunny hop is good. Scrap inside of the point, however, able to absorb all of it. No worries whatsoever. And now that means that Ultra Academy will now take the lead. Pixie pushing out will get taken down from Classic, who might look to put a little bit of additional pressure in towards this point. Do not want 15 seconds to go over for free. That will be the break. And we'll see Infamous Esports right back in as they'll find yet another win and shut down Hixie.
Very well done from Infamous Esports when it comes to getting a lay of the land, reading the situation in front of you, and making sure, as you had mentioned, to not just give away time for free and default into playing for this setup here for P4. Now, that all kind of said and gone, Ultra Academy deal with it nicely, and they're putting on some pretty significant numbers to the front side of Barn. Scrap around the back, gonna just extend his life and maybe put some pressure onto the spawns themselves, as Infamous Esports are mostly spawning down towards the river, which allows an opportunity for these SMGs to continue to flood on in freely, but it's Exceed and Shawnee who will have at least something to say about a definitive flip. Ultra Academy still trying to work their way in from the front, 30 seconds on the hard point still.
And how about Mohawk right now? 13-4 on Bocage, AR in hand. First time he's really been involved with the time, but that's not the best look. Will not be able to win out on that. However, it sets up Hixie pretty well, doesn't it? 3 kills in a row. Looking for number 4, but Assault will end up finding 2. So 15 seconds to fight for. Vikol will be overwhelmed. Scrap time looks like it should be picked up here for Infamous Esports, but you can see it on the mini-map already. Ultra Academy, they've been able to get a pretty solid setup around this point, and we know a lot of time can come away from it if you can hold it.
Yeah, it looks like Scrap has actually picked himself up an automaton here for this hard point. So again, just kind of the decisions and what weaponry do you want to bring. Maybe it depends on what situation you find yourself in. So double AR control, you would assume here for Ultra Academy. Assault working around the back, not able to do too much with that position, but Exceed's able to follow up. So not bad overall when it comes to, again, just creating a problem that Ultra Academy have to deal with. The thing about it is, every time there's a problem that starts to kind of rear its head, Ultra Academy are quick to pick up the pieces, solve the problem within due course, and it turns into significant hardpoint again. 90-77 the current score. Assault trying to work on it, but that was a solo effort, and that may mean, with Vikol already pushed deep in towards mid, that is a guaranteed scrap time coming out for Ultra Academy as they break past the century mark.
And I mean, when you're running this 2 AR setup as well, like, it puts a lot of pressure on Classic and Exceed to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting as well. And if you can't win those battles and those key multi-kills to clear out space, then you're really going to struggle when it comes to the time. And so far that's been the case. Ultra Academy, they're going to have a decent lead. We'll see if they can try to carry this through. Vikol and Scrap, both 16 kills here to their name. Mohawk still firing on all cylinders at 15-6. So you have a lot of individual players performing right now as Hixie tries to move back through. Might be interested in trying to flip out the spawns early, however, as he's just going to allow his teammates to put Prio on towards the hill.
Look, again, watch Hixie. He's not doing anything besides making sure the ARs cannot get back set up over towards the tank side. This gives you a free vacant place to move in and recontest the hill, plus also the spawns. So it's a really big heads-up play as far as how exactly do you make life hard on a double AR setup, because Shawnee did swap back to the automaton going into this hard point. He will swap back now, as they do need to put some extra pressure in the tempo department, just making sure that Ultra Academy are dealt with on these quick pinches. And so far, relatively successful. But these routes that you're seeing from Hixie, this is why Infamous Esports cannot just run this double AR. They're getting picked apart off these little cheeky runs that Hixie keeps going on.
Yeah, and you're starting to see it time and time again where Ultra Academy, not only do they hold on to a lead, but a lot of this time has been going to game clock here so far. And that's what it very well could come down to. Already halfway through our game clock, but Shawnee in the back. Looks like he does now have a sub in hand, as they're going to have to put some more pressure on the hill. Classic is already soaking it up. This is a much better look. They're able to get right into the back. They're able to split out the spawns. They get a little tempo going for themselves. And now we just need to see if they can actually defend this push. Mohawk shut down as soon as he goes to the top of the tank. Will be a trade, though, from Hixie. There's still a chance for Ultra to get in, as they're going to get 2 right back.
Well, it's up to Scrap. He's got to be the last one forward, and he needed to win a 1v2. 23 seconds worth of scrap time, and Exceed has done well to keep his life for now. Shots into him were from Mohawk. Nades also coming through, but as he continues to hold his life, Shawnee puts some pretty good pressure over towards the middle of the map to make sure that Ultra Academy do not feel comfortable to hit this scrap time. This is key accruement of score coming through from Infamous Esports. They were down about 40, and with this scrap 20 going their way, they've brought this back to what is essentially a dead even game.
Dead even game. You needed that hold. Shawnee, let's see if he can keep this going here for himself. Having a slow start, but could still pick it up. Vehicle for 3 inside of the hard point. Will stuff that entire push, and Classic quickly realizes, all right, I'm going to wait for my teammates to come off respawn, but here we go. Second attempt, Classic, one with the nade, one with the MP40. His teammates have also been able to get him access inside of the point, but gunfights come right back, and Ultra, they're able to find a very clean feed. 4 players going down here for Infamous Esports.
The difference maker right now is just that flex roll position. Scrap being able to go back and forth between the Automaton and the MP40 freely, where on the other side, Shawnee has kind of forced himself to have to play with an MP40 because he can't get his AR into the right spots. And Mohawk, who's just kind of hanging out in the back, has just enjoyed a 21-10 scoreline because his SMGs are doing a lot of the legwork. But now as the pressure starts to amount on the scrap once again, it's Ultra Academy that are trying to take the first step to be proactive over towards the barn. Not convincing is this setup at the moment. Classic trying to foil some of this in the back, but it gets turned aside, and all the individual gunfights are won by Ultra Academy as they open up the barn.
Oh, look at the spread. You have a player that's all the way down low at the bottom of plat. He loses that battle, but Vico, he is now also playing his life, just trying to finesse a little bit, and Hixie then comes out of the top here. So everyone scattered across the map, but it still means that it's 50-50 inside of the hard point. Hixie with the challenge will not be able to win out on the battle. And Infamous Esports, with the spawn flip, with 30 seconds left, have a chance to be able to close this lead, maybe even take a lead of their own, but Vico with 3, Vico with 4, finds everyone, and will be able to clean out the barn.
Infamous Esports are scrambling. This last rotation has been nothing but a scramble from Infamous Esports. You even saw it right there. Like, why is Assault as with an Automaton the one player inside? That means no one is zoning the outer lanes, and this is what you come to expect. Mohawk has a free reign to kind of work the outside fields by himself. He's got an SMG with him. You mentioned it. As soon as the 5th hardpoint opens up, they get what they came for, which is essentially a spawn flip. Although I say essentially because Infamous Esports are quick to kind of pick up the pieces here, with Exceed being able to turn himself into another elimination to contest the back. Problem about it is it's just not convincing enough. Ultra Academy are doing everything they want to do on the map, and Infamous Esports have not adjusted correctly with how Ultra are playing Bocage at the moment.
No, they have not, and now they're starting to fall into that trap where it might just be a little bit too difficult to dig yourself out of this hole. Have to break. 30 seconds here. You can't let it go over. Classic, first one. We'll be able to find the battle. Vehicle only able to come up with 1 this time. And now this is a good start. So Infamous Esports more or less keep themselves in this game, making sure 25 seconds did not go over to Toronto Ultra is going to allow you to still potentially make a comeback happen, but we need to see improvements here on P1 and P2.
Oh, absolutely we do. And it has to be from Shawnee and Assault. Classic and Exceed are doing everything you could possibly want them to do as SMGs in these areas, but if you're going to run a double AR, you need to start asserting control on the outer lanes, the north side and the bottom side of the map. So 216 to 190, and Infamous Esports are doing a nice job of continuing to read where Ultra Academy are spawning. The problem is they're reading it, but not getting the flip is what they really want. So good kills, again, coming through from Exceed and Classic. Scrappy battle happening inside the barnyard. Classic eventually turned aside, but the kills come through nicely. And this is a good adjustment here from Infamous Esports. Look how much pressure they're putting on towards both of the sides of the map. You had 3 members watching the bottom, and Exceed who's just floating his life in around the barn. That will lead to eventually a flip of the spawns, but do they read that they've missed a lane? Ultra Academy trying to flip from the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, look at this. Exceed, he's actually fighting for some of this time. Will get challenged. Hixie finds the kill. 15 seconds. Could be big. Could be massive implications for how this next hill ends up turning out for us. But both teams so focused on controlling the spawns for P2. And Exceed is going to sniff out 1. Classic gets the second, but 1 player has slipped through. It's all up to Hixie to see if they can maybe try to make something happen in the back. He finds the first one. He's got to read onto the second, but Classic will find the trade. And now Ultra, they're going to have to break this or flip this here from the front.
Vehicle's trying to sneak around the back. Scrap finds one elimination, but Exceed keeps his life. Takes a second challenge on the outside. Scraplow cannot find the elimination. Will instead just dive on in towards the barnyard, in which he gets a couple of pot shots off an Exceed, but it's not enough to win the gunfight. Lead swap comes through in a convincing manner, mind you. Infamous Esports up above 235. Ultra Academy needing a break. The nades not finding a lot of utility at the moment. Vehicle mid-map turned aside and Exceed has stepped up 3 in a row. 246, 3 more seconds between Infamous Esports and one hell of a comeback. And they do it piecing together the first and the second hills and win the opener by 30.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. Every single time it feels like on Bocage today, there's just a team that turns up in the final moments here. It does not matter how many highlight moments we get out of Hixie, Vehicle, Mohawk. We get to the end of it, we get the nitty gritty, and it is the spawns that play the massive factor there for us. They do a great job of controlling every single lane, just conceding that 10-15 seconds of scrap time, setting up, putting themselves in a position where they're always going to win those battles as long as they're holding the pre-aim, and that's exactly what happens. They track everyone on Ultra Academy to a T, stop them from having a chance to get back into that hard point or influence the spawns, and they lock that map down. I mean, that one, I know for sure is going to be a frustrating one for Ultra Academy. I have to imagine with 100%. A lot of those players, these guys are very emotional at times, and that was a game that you were controlling the entire way through until the end. That's going to sting.
Yes. You said it, and I have to make sure all of you at home hear this. Ultra were winning this game at every minute until those final 2 hard points. Even if the margins were slim, just the style that Ultra Academy were playing at, it kept Shawnee. I mean, Shawnee's in a blender, like all the way through this first set of rotations that we get to. Even in moments where you start to see Infamous Esports finding success off of the backside of Exceed and Classic, they're so cornered into the locations they find themselves that Ultra Academy are getting so much influential value out of their subs. It isn't until these final 2 hard points where you start to see Infamous Esports working the outside of the maps, create a space to where you know for a fact you can get forward fast without having to retake areas. The first set of hills was literally Infamous Esports working through houses and through barns. Nothing was being found successful out through the top side of fields or the bottom side of river. And you see that with how Shawnee was playing. He was like -10 to -12 throughout a lot of that map. But then you start to get through that P1, and we didn't get to really see it on the replay, but they hit through the bottom side of the map while continually finding sub pressure in the middle. It allows a lane for those ARs to start to open up. And even though Shawnee puts it back away for a sub at the end, he starts to really get his influence onto the map just due to the fact that he had ground to work with. A lot of that map, though, was Shawnee putting away the automaton, not by choice, but simply because he could not get set up to help out Assault.
Yeah, he really could not. There were so many moments where he just could not get there. I mean, he was cut down beautifully, you know, by a lot of the subs on Ultra. Just in the end, it is obviously just a clutch up, but he does have a good amount of hill time. You know, 1:45. He's soaking a lot of it up. So
absolutely,
a lot of those deaths do come with the fact that he's throwing his body on top of it, doing whatever he can. And I think a lot of it too was Shawnee was sitting on the back of P2 while his teammates were just slaying anything in sight, which made it really easy to soak up maybe another additional 30-40 seconds there. But really well done. I mean, a game that it just didn't really feel like Infamous were in for the most part, are just able to completely turn that around. And listen, when we go back to setting this one up, we said the hard points are going to be a really important factor for a team like Infamous Esports that were so good throughout the last season that just have not had that same impact here. And the fact that they come out on a Bocage of all maps and display that, hey, we can actually tee up and we can go toe-to-toe with a lot of these aggressive subs that we have here in the lead, I think is really a true calling of really what this team can bring. So I think that's an excellent way to open up this series. The fact that Ultra just lost that is also coming back to what I already said. I think really going to hurt these guys. I know there are emotional players on this team like Mohawk, like Scrappy, that have to shake this off and just simply go into the next map and just completely forget about this one. You can not let it control the rest of the series here for us, Alan, because we know they have to win this just as much as Infamous does.
And the thing, too, that we had also talked about as we look back over what the rest of the series will kind of give us as far as a venue is concerned, we know that Infamous Esports have the experience, the long-standing career veteranship to speak up and lead any single one of them. But who's going to be that guy to really kind of drag themselves out of the mud for Toronto Ultra Academy? That's the real question. Now, the good news here is that you're going on to your best map mode combination in your pool, a Tuscan Search and Destroy. You've been great here. 4-1 overall. The only loss was to Texas Nation, which is understandable because they're also nasty at this map.
Yeah.
On the other front, though, for a team that when we were building into playoffs, we said Infamous Esports, then 18 and cracked through Season 1, their road to success to the playoffs was going to be through Search and Destroys. They're also the best at this map, but it's a mere 2-2 with a couple of really close losses mixed in with a couple of convincing wins.
Makes it really interesting, doesn't it?
It really does, man.
It's because like a huge part of like the matchups too, like you go into like figuring out, okay, this is how they're typically playing the map. Like a great example of it was when Scrappy was on UIU and Texas Nation just started setting up blind counters, right? Like a lot of what we're going to come in here with very well could be, you know, just preparation. And as long as you can prep correctly and figure out at least a lot of the game plan, which for the most part, you know, watching Scrappy play with a sniper is one, making sure that you don't give him line of sight to be able to capitalize on. And two, a huge part of it too is being able to use your nades and stuns effectively, whether you're on defense or offense, man. Like the best teams that play Tuscan Search and Destroy are so good at utilizing where they're throwing their nades, when they're using them to be able to secure bomb plants or play retakes here for you, even saving some of those nades and stuns to a little bit later on into the round. So using them, extremely important. Again, we saw John and Shane here taking us through the action. It's going to be a good one here in North America. First map stolen away. But can we see Ultra respond? I'm going to say it. I think they need to respond here, Alan, or this will very well be a 3-0.
I agree with you. I think that's a total fair assessment. And just for what it's worth, and again, I'm no mathematics scientist, there are so many teams that are tied at 2 and 4. I'm not even going to begin to try to pick apart what would need to happen, who needs to beat who, by what map counts, but the thing that we have to keep in mind is that it goes head-to-head matches first within the teams that are tied, and then head-to-head maps, I believe, with the teams that are tied. So map count could be a very important process in this tiebreaker situation that is inevitably going to happen in one form or another. So you talk about the potentials of a 3-0. I'm not just going to sit there and give the easy credit here saying you love to win 3-0, but it could be massive in the implications of you trying to sneak your way into that fourth potential seed between you and a multitude of other teams. And I do also agree with the sentiment that if Ultra Academy can't come out and find a way to win this search, the hopes of them winning the series, let alone avoiding a 3-0, becomes much more dark and dismal. I just say, generally speaking, because of what we've seen struggle-wise in the hardpoint, and then just the lack of ice in map 5. A lot of their series that went map 5, they got smoked in those map 5s.
And it's like almost really uncharacteristic of a team, you know, of this caliber. Like I think of this team, I think of S&D immediately, and I think it's because of the two players, the duo here between Scrappy and Mohawk. Like they're the players that are coming from the S&D scene, right? Like they're the ones that have thousands and thousands of hours put into that game mode. But obviously, it translates a lot different, I think, over to competitive play compared to what we're used to seeing, I think, in S&D tournaments and things like this. So, will they be able to kind of rise up and be some of those players that we're talking about that need to step up here and get Ultra to that next level, to get them a map win, to close things out, make sure you're on the board, just to be able to have that little bit of relief before going into the third game mode here. I think all of those are crucial points that Ultra are going to have to capitalize on if they're going to have a shot at being able to take these guys down, because the tough fact about this team is that they haven't looked good. They just got picked up. They still need time to mesh. We know that Vico didn't make Season 1. He's got a lot to prove here for Season 2. Mohawk hasn't had the best start to Cold War. Scrappy is the only one I feel like that has really been successful so far here in the Vanguard season, and he's obviously trying to get on the same page with the rest of his teammates. So I think a lot of them have a lot to step up to. I mean, Hixie as well, right? Like, he's got a lot to prove. The fact that he is on the Toronto Ultra bench. We talked about him, coming into this team, being one of the standout subs. I think he has an okay first map. But, what can we see from Hixie here to potentially actually turn the tides and potentially put this map in your favor?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It almost feels unfair in a way to look at these players as individuals and what is such a team sport at the moment. But I think we wouldn't be doing our jobs correctly if we did not also talk about the CDL potential of the individuals.
Of course.
Especially with the current state of a lot of the CDL teams that are obviously actively looking for substitutions or options at the worst. So, it's interesting. That much is to be guaranteed. But I think the biggest thing too is, hey, if you are, building yourself a reputation in one particular game mode in a competitive community that has, well, let's just say it the way it is, it's kind of, been hindered in a way. We haven't seen a lot of the search and destroy community since the last 2 years. You have to be able to show some sort of success. And how about this? Exceed, no respect for Scrap. Doesn't even need to throw nades. Just runs right into him, finds first blood, and with that, Classic's going to try to plant. Yeah,
they know Scrappy likes to use the sniper. Easy pickup, and now it looks like Ultra, they're all going to play retake from their side. No one's watching it, so they actually get in for free. Assault now is going to turn. He's able to get one back, and that means that Vehicle is in a 1 versus 3. It'll be pretty hard to work yourself out of this one, and they will collapse here. They will find the kill, and as much as no one was watching it, they're still able to at least recover.
Yeah, it's just, this is going to be the interesting conversation. I'm really pleased that you brought up the fact that when UYU was playing last season, their success on this map largely came from the scope of Scrap. Everyone now in North American Challengers knows he's going to take this sniper rifle out, and he's 90% of the time going to use that top side of A. So when Texas Nation was beating UYU last season in playoffs, it was by way of utilizing grenades, stuns, regular frags, get him off the angle. This time it's Exceed who just rushes down the gut, knowing he's got a defensive advantage. And well, as Hixie tries to sneak the bomb through mid this time around, he does not have the overwatching safety of Scrap to help him. Hixie will fall for first blood, and the bomb needs to be recovered just outside of A.
Oh, they do find a good pickup, though, at the top of Church, and this could enable Vehicle to come through and make a play. He doesn't have to worry about the bomb. It's all about maybe seeing what you can potentially do to get behind enemy lines. Classic. He's going to break open this door. Oh, we can't find the kill. Vehicle gives away his position now. They know he's down low, but he's able to at least back up, still exit with his life, and he will be able to grab the bomb, and Mohawk wins another big battle here on to Exceed.
That's everything for Infamous Esports on this continual defense, was to get the freedom around the back. Now, that all said, though, Assault makes a hell of a read of his own. Vehicle, who was kind of tucked into a corner outside of Church, had to be the player to go make a play for the bomb, because you have to remember that Scrap is still sniping, and if you know that, and Mohawk's deep, there's only one player who could have potentially picked up the bomb. 22 seconds on the clock. Assault looking for the ace. It'd be a 1v2. Mohawk collecting the bomb, wants to wrap it to B, right underneath the nose of Assault.
Wow.
Who's going to hold here a little while longer, but I think he's going to have an idea that, okay, they did wrap back through Church, and the timing of him getting here, he may be able to stop the plant. No, not going to stop the plant, but gets the kill. 1v1.
1 versus 1. Scrappy up against Assault. Who's going to take this? This would also be for the ace here, potentially for Assault. Get him closer and closer to streaks, but he's got to cut through Scrap before that happens. 30 seconds left. Needs to think about this defuse. A stun did go out. It doesn't hit the mark, and Assault's just going to stick it. Scrappy, I don't think he's going to get here in time. The nade, though, it does connect. Oh, Scrappy gets to an angle. Sees him at the back of the map. That one getting a little too close for comfort, but a big play here from Scrappy to get Ultra Academy on the board.
There's a lot of cause and effect in this round. Think about this. Just as like a random aside, not only does Scrap make a beautiful play, by the way, playing the backside through the top, he stun checks and has the frag come over the top to double check, but think about the fact that nobody from Ultra Academy challenged them, or pardon, for Infamous Esports challenged them topside A. Scrap never had to throw utility off the beginning because he was never pushed off his angle. So a little bit of a weird cause and effect thing there, where Scrap is allowed to hold on to his utility, and that's how he's able to clutch up the round. And now he starts off the third with a first blood onto Assault. He also gets the read. There are more members there, which means it's time for nades to start being rained in. And as the trades come through, Scrap will be denied as Classic peels him off the back, but trades will come back and forth, leaving Exceed to a 1v2. Around the back, takes the first, Exceed for 2! And Infamous Esports scrap together the round.
I was going to say, that's the problem with holding a 4 stack to outer A, is that you're acceptable to a gank, or rather a flank to come through. I'm thinking League of Legends there. A flank to come through all the way around, and that will be a beautiful 1 versus 2. So good stuff here for Exceed to catch on to the fact that, hey guys, they're just hard stacking A long defensively. What if I just work for a quick little flank and pop a nice little 2-piece? Well, that's exactly what works out here for them. And that's off the back end of Ultra, getting a first blood, finding a couple of kills, getting put into a 3 versus 2. So massive plays to come through here for Infamous Esports. Now going to be up by a round, but back to the attacking side here for Ultra Academy. Vico, last time he took his time before he pushed in. This time he could look to go right away, but he's more or less just securing the bomb plant, and it should go down.
Miraculous. This little adjustment from Ultra Academy, waiting for the nades, and then pushing Scrap forward to deny the topside A. So this play has to come off the flank, and Ultra Academy are going to know that now as a stun check comes in. Classic responds with some nade damage of his own, but this is going to be a very tough retake. Here it comes, though. All three members on the back have to find success. And, ooh, Mohawk, a little bit of a ankle breaker, comes back through. Vehicle mid-map makes safe any possible sneaky defuse, and it all comes down to Assault again. 1v2 and won't get past Vehicle, who just pops up bottom side fire for the kill, and Ultra Academy respond convincingly off the post plant to tie us at 2.
And that's twice now, or, Infamous, they have tried to play retake all the way through the offensive side, and it has not worked either time. They even, nade out Mohawk pretty heavily in the arch, and he's just not going down. He's able to survive, get his health back, and then they just buy enough time to be able to play out a couple of trades, just completely run away from the engagement and just go and play the clock. And playing the clock they do. Ultra Academy, they tie us up. But now again, what will Infamous Esports try to do? Knowing that Ultra's been playing through A long this time, how about the middle of the map? Everyone's here for Ultra, ready to contest the push.
It's a double AR stack up top that goes 1 for 1. Exceed, though, is getting a lot of information off of these nades, but cannot do more than just the first kill. But no one actually saw Classic. This is the key. All those gunfights were either top fire or backside in the well staircase. So Infamous Esports still feel the freedom to get the plant off, and they're going to set up a post plant on the defensive side of the map. This is a really big heads-up read, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on Hixie to have to get a responsive awareness call here of where exactly are they. I believe he has seen Classic. Gunshots are connecting, but not convincing enough for the elimination, and Mohawk gets snuck out over through topside fire. Man, these post plants have been really fun to watch. That is just a heads-up play from Infamous Esports, knowing that there is a mid-stack, though, from Ultra. I love the call, the post plant set up on the defensive side of the map.
I agree. I love it too, especially since we know teams will almost always default to the top fire setup while one player goes to the back of the spawn, and you have to invest some of your time when the bomb's down to go searching to say, okay, are they actually playing through their side after they got this bomb down, or are they playing at ours? And it's almost too little too late once they realize that. So I love it as well. Multiple different strategies coming into play here for us, just a little bit of a change up. But Hixie, last time he tried to run through mid, he was immediately cut down. I think he's eaten about 2 stuns now. But here we go, Vehicle. Every single time he's challenged down low. This time he'll find the kill, gets out. First blood here for Ultra Academy.
Oh, and Mohawk gets the read on the flank too. I think there's a little bit of a help from Vehicle on the call for it. And so now Assault and Shawnee, 2v3. No nades for Assault. I imagine Shawnee used most of his as he was defensively the only player outside top A. They're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. And if Scrap is able to pick apart Shawnee up top, that will lead to a very quick successive plant for Hixie. Salt 1v3. And he is, well, got a lot of space he's got to clear off. You got to clear the player fire, and then the second player that would be at fire, and then potentially also the third player that would be up top at fire. It's not a very doable 1v3 here.
those are a lot of things you got to check off that list right there. And Assault's not going to even have a shot at one of them. That's another clean play here for Ultra. And back and forth we go here. You get one, we get one. You get one, we get one. But you have to go back to the start of Vehicle's opening pick, bottom church. Every single time he's done it. This is the first time that he's actually been able to pick up a kill with it. And because of it, it immediately enables the easy bomb plan and make the call just to drop the bomb. We had the post plant set up. They haven't been able to break us in the back, and they still have not found an answer here through the front. So far, very offensive heavy on Tuscan. And everything, of course, happening around this ace site, and it looks like that'll be the case again.
Yeah, this is the same exact setup when it comes down to both teams on their offensive hits. They're doing the exact same thing, and a lot of this is because they know that Scrap is going to be holding a sniper rifle usually up top. So as Exceed kind of does his best Vehicle cosplay, it's Classic who's able to get the plant off after the first blood is secured from Infamous. Now that said, Scrap has found elimination up top, which means Classic has to worry about the middle of the map and the outside area. He does well to find the first and get a second. Oh, we see it just through the lens of Scrap's optic. And now a 1v3, not going to happen. That is a mammoth hold from Classic. He's got to watch two things at once. No one's watching his mid-map. After that pick from Scrap comes through, he has to finesse his life, and he turns it into the final 3 kills. That is unbelievable from Classic.
Yeah, that was a lot of trust because Exceed, he went and opted in for a complete flank play to come through the back, and that obviously is not a part of that play that was all about holding the front there. So Classic at the most, you just needed him to come out with 1. If he gets 1, that's probably enough for Exceed to come all the way around the back and then still be able to clear anyone off of the bomb. But because he gets 2, That solidifies it right there. And now here we go, round number 8. Oh, Viko's got a little spot here for us, and he might be able to clean up a couple of members. He's going to spot one. It's just about who's going to come up into his line of sight. I think he might have saw a second.
It's difficult. It's hard to say. The thing about this is Exceed, who's not a part of this flank, gets a set nade onto Hixie. So now it's just down to Mohawk to have to keep this flank safe. Creates a little bit of space while finding the first. He stuns where the second one would have challenged from. So he gets the regen off. The bomb not going to be planted. Scrap looking to hit an absolutely unbelievable shot. And he connects onto Assault. But where's Classic? Where's Classic? No one seems to know. 4 kills in a row. He gets the shoulder that he needs. Knows that Mohawk's going to play him outer. So Classic will hold a corner while Shawnee watches over the top of him. And a 1v2 for Mohawk. This would be a very difficult one to win considering where Infamous Esports are playing at the moment, knowing the fact that the bomb is down.
I feel like Mohawk might know that Classic is playing inner U. No one's challenging from the outside of A. We'll see if he checks it. No, he doesn't check it. He knows Classic was close, but my goodness. How do they recover from that round? And that's one of the first defensive rounds that we've seen go over for quite some time. Yes. That was a massive one.
Yeah, just put a little mental post-it note on that round. We don't have enough time to elucidate it right here and right now, but the counterplay that came through for Infamous Esports is exactly what the doctor ordered. So we'll talk more about why that was successful at the end of this map if it does finish, which it very well may right here. Do we see the same hit again? Classic with this automaton and on 5. Do you risk playing through mid-map and getting the quick plant, or do you hold a little bit more passively? It looks like they're going to hold more passively, and well, the team shots are flawless. Classic getting credit for the elimination. Mohawk finds at least one response through the middle of the map, which does mean that Infamous Esports have to be cautious of any long flanks or quick challenges through the middle of the map.
Hixie is going to run right through the mid-map, has that little spot where he can at least sound out anyone who might come through A, or rather come through B, and he might have been hearing some of those doors open and creak. Let's see what Exceed can do. He's going to have a big battle here. He takes down Scrap. He's going to wrap all the way back here. He's going to find Hixie as well. The timing on this is brutal for Ultra Academy. Exceed gets some shots in, doesn't finish off the kill, but the information is good. Numbers also good here for Infamous. 3 versus 2. Hixie tries to force the play. He's getting very low and tagged up, and he ultimately finds one. Oh, Hixie! How does he get 2 there? Assault was worried about a different gunfight, and now it's a 1v2 for Exceed.
He's holding the corner, though. No, not going to win the gunfight! Oh, my goodness! You want to talk about immediate cause and effects? It's the fact that after Exceed gets the first kill, when he sees the second player run through mid, Classic hops off the plant. He's 1 away from streaks, and he's thinking, if I could get a free kill on this player rotating, we've got win condition. But Ultra Academy double stack back through Church, help one another out on the re-hit to topside A, in which Infamous Esports, that's where they're thinnest defensively. Classic tries to finesse maybe a little bit too long for the streaks, and now we get back into a round 10, and it's the same setup. Stuns this time coming through. Hinder Hixie just a touch. There is no help from Vikol this round. It's just Hixie who's playing forward as Vikol watches the long flank through P5.
This one a little bit more passive for Ultra. Will they try to stick it? Hixie's going to make the call. But Classic, he challenges out, and Shawnee has taken down Mohawk. Shawnee has taken down Scrap. 4 versus 2. Vikol is going to have to make good on this play. But Hixie, I think, does have eyes on Classic, and he's going to try to make a risky push. He finds one. Waiting for the second challenge. It doesn't come through, but it buys time for Vikol, who's now going to be in the back, but has to get through 3 members.
Yeah, he's stuck with cement in his shoes right there. You don't really want to go back. You don't know what's waiting for you, but you don't want to be stuck in the middle of the map. So Vikol, he reveals his position with those stray shots. 30 seconds on the clock, 1v3. And he's been red. Johnny, pre-aim. No! Okay. There's a second there where you're like, oh boy, Vikol just buttered himself up with some Vaseline and just slid on through. But not the case. And look, I have to go back a couple of rounds ago. Infamous Esports was having a really tough time with Ultra Academy in the middle of the map. Very, very difficult time with them because Hixie and Vikol were just running on through. They would either isolate you in Church or be able to find the freedom to get the bomb planted quickly. That one round in particular, Infamous Esports, where they have Exceed holding Church to throw his nades, the other 3 re-wrapping around the flank, that solves 2 problems in one. The first being that you can have mid-map. We don't really want it. And then the second is, even if you get the plant off, you don't have the high ground for this post point that was so hard for us to break. So it's a really good adjustment, again, in the late, tight stages for Infamous Esports. We saw it in the Bocage hardpoint. We're getting it here in the Tuscan Search. And just unbelievable individual plays from Exceed in a couple of different rounds to give them the narrow edge.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, Infamous Esports. If there was ever a time to come alive, it really would be in the final day. And they have just played so well with all of these moments. You can see it here, just trying to create angles where they can push through into the back. And, Scrappy, it feels like he was not too involved with a lot of the success we typically see on a Tuscan, right? Where there maybe are a couple moments where he's able to find a killer here or there, but he's not able to really make full value of it. And then we see Hixie, a nice little 1v2 right in that moment there. But my goodness, incredible stuff, top to bottom. Infamous Esports really coming alive. Everyone, again, putting up some decent numbers. It's not like someone's just getting hard carried. There were multiple moments for everyone to play off of each other, countering through mid, finding responses and angles to be able to work back into that map after what was just an offensive affair back and forth the entire way through. Up until that first defense went through in Infamous Esports, they were able to just carry that out. Incredible stuff here for them. And that is 2-0 out. And what did we say coming in here? We said that Ultra Academy could not lose this, and they just lost it.
Yeah. In a really rough affair, too, because like that little double stack moment is such a beautiful play between Hixie keeping his life, Mohawk distracting, allowing Hixie to get the regen and the reload and then turn it into 2. Like, that feels like such a clutch moment in that, what was it? I think a 2v3 overall. But regardless of that, it's just been narrow misses here or there. And that has kind of been, I know we were kind of having a difficult time putting together like cemented narratives about both of these two teams. But when you look across the board and some of the maps that had been played by Ultra Academy in this group stage, a lot of the rounds and maps and series overall that they've missed out on have been because of tight moments like that. And I don't know. I think there's something else to be said about coming out with a little bit too one-dimensional of an offense, right? Where you're running the same play with Hixie and Vikul every single time you're on the offensive side of the bomb. But yeah, I don't know. That is a hell of a search. Really fun one. I think for all of you big brainers, I think you're probably have a smile on your face one way or the other, because there was a lot of really fun little chess matches that were happening inside each of those rounds. But as we had mentioned, the big storyline, you're down 0-2. How are you going to reverse sweep this Infamous Esports team, especially going to their, I won't even say best control map, but really their only control map? All they've played is Kavudu so far this group stage.
Yeah, they're 3-3 on it. This has been the only map they're playing, and we were even thinking, okay, like, do you challenge, Toronto Ultra on this map? Because this is one of their better ones of the two, right? They're 2-0 on it. I feel like, that at least is something you can take away, the fact that they have been pretty solid on Kavudu, but both of those have also been round 5 wins, which means that it very well could just be defensive ends, that ends up coming through in the round 5. So will they be able to recover, man? Like, that's the biggest thing that I have about this team. And like, I hit on this a lot last year when we were, casting over a lot of the opens and stuff like that. Whenever Scrappy and Mohawk are together at times, I know that they can get a little bit flustered. I know that things can be frustrating, and I know that they let it out and they let the team atmosphere hear those types of things, which can certainly lead, to some kind of a demise coming into what could be a map number 3 where you just are unable to bounce back in time. But we have seen Toronto also pull off reverse sweeps here as well. So there is a shot that they might be able to kind of recover, come back through, have a good Kavudu. If you get a good performance from Scrappy, get a good performance coming through here, potentially from Mohawk, get some of that momentum, get some of those comms up and the energy flowing here again. There is a chance, but it's do or die now. You know that in the back of your mind. So everything you do, you have to do it with confidence around. So we're going to see this Infamous team. They're going to come out here and they might potentially win 3-0 versus Ultra, which is, wow, what a crazy story that would be.
Yeah, that would be unexpected, I think, for it's so tough, man. I don't think we've ever been in a position where we've had to look at 5 teams going into the final day in a tiebreaker. I don't think it happened at all last year. It definitely didn't happen in season number 1. So, I mean, it's just the fact that we started the day off the way that we did was uncharacteristic, to say the least. And I think just generally when you've got 5 teams, not just in a tiebreaker, but all of them at 2 and 4, it's like, how do you pick a favorite out of any of them? It really is just a juggling game of what's going to land where. So, difficult scenes for both squads, but of course, more difficult right now for Ultra Academy in the pretense that they have to reverse sweep to even have a chance to see a tiebreaker situation go their way to get into playoffs. If you're not familiar with the Challengers Elite format, It's 4 teams that get moved on into a double elimination bracket. It's different from last year. Last year, it was the top 2 guaranteed. The next 4 played through kind of like an LCQ in a way to get qualified for playoffs. There was only 2 relegations to the group stage last year. Now there are 4. So, man, I'll tell you, it's not a comfortable spot to be for literally the bottom 6 teams here. And even more uncomfortable here for Ultra Academy that have a lot riding on not just this, but who knows? I mean, does Ultra possibly want to like change things up? I mean, you're trying to set yourself up for success for the Minnesota Open coming up in the beginning of April too. So there's a lot of uncertainties if you do not qualify for this stage playoff.
I really think that's like the biggest talking point is, you know, what's going to happen end of the month, what's going to end up being swapped up. But, you know, you can't really think about those things at this moment. You gotta just win out 3 maps in a row and hope that you're going to be able to, 1, clinch the playoff spot, and 2, kind of go from there. See if you can work on a lot of these individual things that are going to need to be worked on, because this is it, man. This is it right here for Ultra Academy. I think there's been a lot of people questioning the fact that, was this the right team to pick up? Do they have the right roles on this squad? That is really going to be a lot of the questions that we're currently framing up here for us, but we'll see if they can do it. I still have a lot of faith, I think, in a lot of the individuals. I don't know if they're going to be able to put it all together and make it mesh, but they're going to have to if they're going to take down Infamous Esports, because here we go, 2-0 up, looking for the 3-0 and put Ultra Academy away and stop them from making playoffs. And right away, attacking first will be Infamous, as they're actually going to fancy the B zone here off the rip.
Yeah, this is interesting. We've seen a couple of teams try this, and well, Shawnee's able to find a really key kill on the cut, allowing him to stop the clock at B. Keep in mind, Classic has the ability to choose. Does he want to play for A or help on this pinch? And number 1 in white is going to be waiting to try to help out on this pinch, and well, unfortunately, he loses Shawnee by way of nade and then can't do too much with his position. So the initial attempt towards B, tippable, but that's about it. And it's not even a tip of 20%. It's like a 10% tip that you get left after some bad service at the Olive Garden or something.
Yeah, not a good tip. Not good service. Have to recover now. Going into A. How about that? Classic, nice little snap. Able to take down Hixie. First tick of progress on the way. But Ultra, they have been able to work themselves through circles. So there's actually a chance they could play spoil or come from behind and create a flank play. And it's going to be a lot on what Vikul can do here for us. Pistol in hand. Finds that first one. But Shawnee ready with his automaton for the second. And now it's Hixie doing the exact same thing. He's been able to find Classic. That first tick of progress, it's not in. And now if you're Infamous, you're only down to 30 seconds. And you're going to have to make something happen off that kill.
What a shutdown, though, by Classic. That'll allow an opportunity to still see this A zone. 24 seconds on the clock. Good kills coming out. Hixie at least able to respond with one of his own, but really can't do too much with that. Seems to be a call-out that Classic is somewhere over here by P5, but they don't know exactly where. He's kind of camouflaged himself onto the barrel, onto the 5th hardpoint, and he does make good in it to create a little bit more safety to try to lock down this last tick of progress. But as we continue to see, it's success on one side of the map, failure on the other. Vikul is putting so much pressure on the spawns, and the clock now becomes the biggest adversary for Infamous Esports.
Scrap. Oh, man. Those are likely the last couple of nails here in the coffin, unless you can try to get out of your spawn, rush over to the zone here. It is just Classic that could potentially play for some kind of a stop on the clock, but Vikul is still just ripping apart the backline here. Let's just trying to maneuver across the map, and Mohawk doing a good job finding heads. Another one there for Shawnee. Classic has been alive this entire time, but Mohawk will make sure that he does not last too much longer. And I will say, it was a B attempt off the start, but still very clean here for Ultra Academy in their first round.
It really, honestly, that attack towards B, I think if you're Infamous Esports, you're going to be kind of okay with the outcome. I know it sounds stupid to say because they don't get anything off B, but if Shawnee is able to live through the nade and Classic even finds 1 kill on that cut, that's an opportunity to really get significant progress there. So it is just kind of the benefit for Ultra Academy defensively that they're able to shut down Classic and Shawnee at the exact same time. Otherwise, you can kind of make a mess of that B zone offensively if you're Infamous Esports. But how about this? Ultra Academy say anything you can do, we may be able to do better. We'll see. 4-man stack over towards the B zone. Classic very ready for the quick contestants. And, well, at least for Infamous Esports, they got to the zone. Ultra Academy barely even got past ring.
And now it's troublesome. Look at this. Look at how far Classic is pushed up here. Ultra, they have to stun check like the entry points of their spawn just so they can get a little information on where we can push to next. And Scrappy, he gets one, but the big problem here is the clock. And Assault able to find one more. and you're just pinned back here. You're going to have to go, though, because this is going to get out of hand very quickly. I think player 7, Hixie, did slip through, but it's only for a moment. Exceed's going to find him as well, and you're already down to 40 seconds left.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, what, your entire offensive round is chalked off the rip? And that's what it kind of feels like. I mean, you have to move. I mean, this is a pace that makes the story of the tortoise and the hare look like you're watching Drive to Survive on Netflix. I mean, they're moving so slow that there's really nothing that they can do here. Like, there's literally nowhere that they can go. They're eventually able to get on towards the A zone, but even if they were to convert this, I mean, you're dealing with a 23 life count for either side. It's just not going to happen.
And Classic still finding his rhythm, baby. Couple more there for him. And just one last kill for Scrap. But yeah, that one even more convincing here for the side of Infamous. And I think you really hit it, right? It's just the wipe off the start into an immediate spawn trap. And Ultra just slow right down. And I get the idea that you don't want to throw away lives, right? We know how important round 5s are on Gavutu. But you also got to fight back a little bit. And it felt like it took them a whole 30, 40 seconds before they were even able to do so. So that was even more convincing here. Infamous Esports, I think, are going to be slightly down in lives a tad bit, but we'll see if they can maybe have a little bit of a better offensive attack this time around here in round 3.
This time, all 4 members straight over towards A. That's a great angle from Shawnee. He actually kind of opens up the middle of the map in a way. Exceed thinks he can take use of that, and boy, does he. Plus the nades from beyond, and they deal with the flank. Hold on a second. This isn't just the A zone. They could try to make strides towards B with that clean feed and try to zone off this map. It's going to feel like Ultra Academy cannot stop getting spawn trapped, bro. They were just on in the blender from the offensive side, and now you're being pressured on your defensive spawns. The good news is they clear the ground in front of them very quickly, and it kind of forces Exceed back to make sure they at least continue to make progress on the A zone.
You could have got Terrifying pretty fast, but I think they make the right call, pushing through circle, making sure that we have control of the front of our zone here at B before we worry about what's happening at A. If they get A, that's fine. But let's make sure that we're not losing some of the power positions here on B. And now, looks like that A zone will end up going over here. All 4 members, though, for Infamous Esports are going to be together, so they still have to work themselves past the ship. Either try to get a sub into the back here, try to get a little mixy, or fight for circle control. And it looks like they're going to opt into pushing to the back.
This is fine. Mohawk has to pick up Exceed, and if you're looking at this from Exceed's point of view, you just need to keep your life right there. Your teammates are trying to clear out the middle of the map. And if you keep your life in the back, it forces Ultra Academy to kind of keep their arrows, you know, and their POVs just kind of circling. You have to worry about the front, worry about the back, worry about the cut. But now Ultra Academy reinforce, and oh boy, strongly do they. Scrap now on 3 up top by the ring. He's got support to his right by way of vehicle. And even below him, Hixie's just kind of the captain of the boat at the moment. This is not a good situation for Infamous Esports. The only bit of good news here is you still have 1:20 on the clock, but you have to start getting some ground to work with and do it soon.
Yeah, it's so tough. Trying to just work through these little positions here. Is Hixie going to challenge? Yes, he is. Classic will be able to bait him out with a bit of patience. But Scrap, the next one up, 3 in a row. We've seen Scrappy be so big in Gavutus before. And how about 16-7 for Scrappy? Looking to keep this maybe going for some potential streaks for an offensive win, maybe even, or some late game insurance. It would be big, but here comes the push right through ring. And that's going to be 3 players all dropping. A chance to be able to maybe still make a hit happen. They still have 45 seconds to work into B.
But the problem is Classic thought he had the vacancy to get on early. They did not know that the last defensive member of vehicle was playing on towards the site itself. Good kills, though, coming through. And wait a second, look at number 3. Shawnee's actually cutting off this cross. Everything has to come from the front. If Shawnee can open up some space here, this could be massive, but he only gets 1. Exceed enough of an opportunity to get on, at least stall the clock. 13 playing up against 11, and it's on Ultra Academy to figure out how do you retake this zone.
You're going to have to go. Exceed, I think that first tick. Oh, it's in. It is in, absolutely. And now it's 8 lives here for the side of Ultra Academy. You might be able to get some more members on the zone and stack it. Offensive win in the cards here for
Oh
Infamous.
my God.
Another kill comes through, and Ultra, they have choked here on defense. A round that you thought they had locked up with all of that map control is turned to dust in seconds off a couple of key gunfight wins. They get here, they stack it, and they take the offense.
So many heads up plays though from Infamous Esports to make sure they didn't just always flood from the front of the hill. You got Exceed on. That really is job done. If he gets naded, then you start to reconsider how do we get somebody else forward. But it's Shawnee initially who finds the kill off the mid cut, and then I believe it was Classic late who filled his spot after Shawnee fell, meaning that Ultra Academy were completely stuck having to try to re-break either by way of nades or by sending numbers through what was a really well overwatched top AA gun position. And now Ultra Academy, oh goodness, this is about as tall of an ask as you could possibly ever put together. Have to win an offense of your own. The good news is they're finding some good participation from V-Cool here on the opening to get onto A early, but they've missed Exceed, and Scrap will surely be traded here as Shawnee gets involved. Exceed tallying up a killing spree of 5.
Oh, Exceed here could really end Toronto Ultra's run, but he will end up dropping to Mohawk. No streaks come into play. So 45 seconds left. You need this zone right now, and Scrap with a big win up top for 2. Scrap trying to save the play. Scrap for 3. Oh my goodness. What more can you ask from Scrappy right now? He's putting the team on his back. He's doing everything he possibly can. He loses that battle, but now the rest of the members, they need to ice up. They need to win these battles because you are now down to 25 seconds.
Mohawk gets stunned out. He can't contest this. Look at the pressure from Infamous Esports. They're over the middle map and they're on the ship. Mohawk has to do something unbelievable, and he's not going to get the chance. 13 and 21 from Hixie. Could be potentially the last chance to get in. Classic just running around in circles. The only thing that takes him down is a team nade, but the kills behind it are just so significant for the defense. 5 seconds on the clock. Hixie trying to work with Mohawk as they're the last ones to really kind of put this play in towards the A zone. Middle of the map being watched nicely. Hixie has to win this gunfight versus Shawnee and not able to. V-Cool on the way back. Able to get the trade alongside Mohawk, but it's Assault who may have just found the last word. And that will be it. A 3-1. Infamous Esports take the control and completely sweep the rug right underneath the feet of Ultra Academy, denying them a playoff in their first instance of the Elite.
Oh, they ripped that rug out from underneath them. Oh my goodness. I just cannot believe it. I mean, Infamous, a team that just has not looked nearly as good as they, did in the last season. I've hit on this multiple times now, and it's just crazy to see them turn up here when they absolutely have to. And I think this entire series comes back to the map too. Ultra, they lose map number 1. That's just due to a lot of clutching up, a lot of great play, a lot of recovery here for the side of Infamous Esports. But it's the map number 2. That's the one that really stings, right? Where that has been one of your best map load combinations. That's one that you think you have locked up in the vetoes, and then you get it, and it doesn't happen. You don't win it. It hurts you drastically here, and then they go into a control where, hey, listen, they were also flawless in Gavutu control, but they lose that offense. Just so much great play coming through from a team that showed us glimpses of it here and there, but we haven't got it consistently. But here the entire way through Allen, all 3 maps, it was consistently proven that they were the better team, and they were able to get the job done and find an elimination matchup here versus Toronto Ultra, where they have nothing left, unfortunately. They have no way to make it in the playoffs. They will be eliminated, and this was just incredible play here from top to bottom for Infamous.
And the thing that's most impressive about Infamous Esports is actually, for me, the late stages of the first and second maps. The P1, P2 at the very end from Infamous Esports, where they were down like 200 to 220. They came back and put together, well, it wasn't exactly that, but it was pretty close to about a 50-point game. They make all the adjustments and corrections they need to figure out what exactly Ultra Academy was doing to dominate the map, and they essentially give Ultra Academy a taste of their own medicine at the end. And then the same thing on that Search and Destroy, their ability to read how Ultra Academy were figuring out how they continue to get the bomb down at A. They hit him with a full counter, a 3-1 split with 3 players coming to the bottom side of the map, taking away not just the plant, but also the high ground. And then really it's just, I think that control is pretty much summed by that round 3 offensive win for Infamous Esports. Just a great dissection of the B zone to give themselves a really good look and obviously a clear-cut shot of winning an offense. An impressive 3-0 for Infamous Esports, largely from me, just their ability to adjust and correct their mistakes.
And that's when we talk about the veteranship, right? Where you don't really have a standout leader here, it feels like, for Ultra. I think you have a lot of voices chiming in and making play calls, but I don't really feel like you had that standout like before when Scrappy was playing with UIU and had the likes of Timmy or Phantoms and so on and so forth here, where you don't look towards that. You don't sit here and wonder, okay, who's the big voice here for Infamous Esports? Well, it's probably 2, 3, or maybe even all 4 of them at times. I think that everyone can step up and really use their veteranship here to utilize those moments in those games that you mentioned where you might be down, but you can make small adjustments on the fly, fix them, recover, make those plays, win those maps, steal those maps even if you want to. And they show multiple moments of it there throughout this series. A 3-0 of all the map counts that could have came through. I did not think this was going to be one of them for either side, mind you. But I think that this was just so convincing. I mean, it was undeniable here for them. And as much as there were close moments, they iced up, they clutched up here for us. And that's what we needed to see out of one of these teams if they're going to be, into a potential playoff spot here. And Infamous at least had a great showing of it here.
Indeed the case. So Infamous Esports do exactly what they need to, find a W. That makes the tiebreaker situations marginally more favorable towards them. Also going on, UYU up 2-0 versus Strike X. But for us, we got another tiebreaker match coming through that will definitely implicate what happens in the playoffs with a 1-for-1. You win and you're in if you're whatever it takes. On the other hand, the Stallions have to put together a W to keep themselves in the running for potential tiebreaker situations, and we'll have the coverage of that right here on youtube.com/COD Challengers right after this break. Do not go anywhere. We're through half of North America, a convincing result amidst two of our teams that find themselves in a bit of a gridlock in the bottom five. All five of those teams going into today were tied at 2 and 4, all of which play one another in some fashion. So we're going to get head-to-head tiebreaker situations in some course. But the thing about what's coming up next here, Visions, we kind of know what we get here. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Going up against Stallions, whatever it takes at 3 and 3 means they win, they're in.
I like that. Yeah, if they win, they're absolutely in, and they've shown a lot of improvement lately. It feels like this has been a little bit of a different squad as of late. But first, we got to talk about the Stallions here, because Alan, that has been one of the squads that I think has had a lot of eyes on. He has been one of the big performers where we looked at like the stage 1 qualifiers and he was putting up like 20 kills, just not making it in after incredible performances. But the big one lately has certainly been Cryptic, where it feels like he has been the top performer at the 1.2 overall KD. He's been one of the standouts, and we had a lot of great things to say about him last week.
It definitely did, and that was kind of the biggest thing. Whenever you look at this roster, the biggest thing that really stood out is the youth. I don't mean necessarily by age, but by experience inside of Challengers Elite. A couple of instances where we've seen these players in the Elite last year, but for half the roster, this is their first go at Challengers Elite, missing out on it in Season 1. Of course, as you had mentioned, this roster gets kind of reformed, put together. And of course, Zuma saw a lot of promise in them to kind of help brand them into the Stallions. And they have really kind of showcased themselves in some sort of positive light. They're definitely in the running. 12 and 15 in the map counts, again, labeled at the 2 and 4 position, puts them in the midst of all of the chaos that has been this tiebreaker situation galore. And it has been really interesting, I think, just to see who would be the player to kind of step up and give us at least some sort of an all-star potential. And we definitely saw that last week versus Cryptic, although all 4 of them have had their moments. On the opposite side, though, for whatever it takes, this is one of our playoff teams from last season, finishing 3rd. But the thing about this is they still felt the need to make a roster change. Ghosty out, Pentagram in, and boy, what a difference Pentagram has made to this roster, especially lately.
Yeah, and it wasn't off the start, though. It was a really rough start here for the team that looked so good after the very first season. And we were questioning, you know what I mean? Was this the right pickup? Were things going right? I feel like even Pentagram was questioning it when he was on Twitter. Like what else do I need to do, this year to be able to actually make playoff contention? Well, apparently just had to win. Who knew it was that simple? And, well, they've been able to do that the last couple of series, as they have looked a lot better. 3 and 3. I mean, they are, I think, currently 3rd place right now, as everyone else is kind of tied here for 5th. So they have looked a lot better overall, and I feel like you are looking at a team that has already been able to do it, right? They've already made it into playoffs. They're just adding in, a bit of a different member, and I think Pentagram brings a lot to the team. We saw that throughout all of last year on BBG. It's just a matter of finding the fitting, and I think they're finally starting to get form here, coming in towards the later parts of the second season.
Well, let's take a look at the maps. The last point you see on the bottom is going to be an important one for this series that we have in front of us. Berlin, Tuscan, the guaranteed first 3. For this opening Berlin hardpoint, that narrative that we saw at the bottom where a lot of the wins for the side of whatever it takes have been narrow wins. Well, that gets proved immediately because the first time that they played against what was then 18 and cracked, they won this map 250 to 249. So doesn't get any closer than that, Austin. And then you go to the Tuscan Search and Destroy, in which 2 of their wins, which are their 2 only wins, are also round 11 Ws. So it's hard to really kind of look at the map win loss count for at least whatever it takes and say that either of these opening 2 maps are favorable, considering that the margin of which they've won them have literally been as slim as you could get.
Yeah, very slim. We go even to when we were watching over Stallions, like right off the bat throughout the very first week here in the season 2, we were looking at a lot of their games thinking, wow, so many of these are winnable, right? So both even have like a similar narrative where both are very used to, getting close to, proximity of 60 points or so within their hard points, round 11s, round 10s, and just losing out just barely. That is really, I think, where both of these teams can kind of come together in that same storyline. It's just a matter of who who is really going to want it more today and who's going to be able to inch out over the other. And again, you already brought up the superstar, that we could potentially see here, because it feels like there are plenty of really skilled players that we have that can just take over maps. We've seen it a lot throughout Pentagram, throughout Black Ops Cold War. Will he be able to do that here in Vanguard as well? And then on the opposite end, we've seen that from Yuli. We've seen that from Cryptic. I think Turiel even had a couple of better performances after kind of being one of the weaker members here on this roster throughout the first week. So I think you have a lot going for you on both of these teams here, Alan. It's just a matter of who's going to be able to show up here, give us a great series, and who can really take it all, because this is, again, for playoffs, so everything matters.
And here's the fun thing, too, just to kind of refresh and give you more of an elongated narrative about those 5 maps. Austin, we were kind of looking at both teams and predicting. We expected to see Berlin and Gavudu for both the hard points. We got that. We also expected the Tuscan Search and Destroy, Control. We were like, one of our narrative points was, does this come down to that 5th map? Not necessarily being map 5 in the rotation, but what is the outside wild card map? It's a Berlin Search and Destroy that is map number 5. We'll talk more about that as we get closer and closer to potentially seeing it. But the biggest point, both these teams do share a lot of the same priority map mode combinations that we have in this series. So it'll be Shane and John taking us through the action. Berlin hardpoint coming up. And for whatever it takes, they're looking to continue their winning streak after yesterday's dubs versus Ultra Academy and Bear Claw Esports to potentially just guarantee and not even be a part of all of this chaos that is tiebreaker situation. That's what's on the table. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Whatever it takes, Stallions. This is for everything. Who's getting into playoffs? Who's missing out? And already a great start. Stallions coming out with a couple of kills. Turiel, no fear, just sprints at Brack and is able to take him down. And Yuli essentially does the exact same thing. So explosive start here for the Stallions as they're going to get themselves in the time and start zoning really early.
And this zone is a perfect zone, by the way. Turiel has the opportunity to use this to kind of set himself up for a pinch. Now, he does miss Zinx, and Pentagram on the long flank route has kind of thrown some contest into the hill, and with the second win, it actually turns into whatever it takes breaking this setup. So you want to talk about COD timing immediately coming into the mix and punishing you. Look no further than the last 15 seconds as everything looked so good for Stallions, and immediately off the response, whatever it takes, get the break, and now they're the ones who actually are winning this zone rotation over towards mailroom.
All right, spawns look good in the back right now. Proto inside of the point, however. Big 101. We'll find a second, but can't get the gun up in time. So Zinx has to come through, clears up the point. That's also Zinx's first kill here, as he's finally getting involved in some of the slaying. But it will be the bounce back from Yuli and Kaiser that are still able to at least put on a little bit of pressure. Proto tries to turn, and he's able to find Cryptic. Key kills coming through now for Proto as he's inside the point.
Oh, well done. Reach-outs out towards Kaiser as help is arriving, but it still is a 3 for 2, going the way of the Stallions in the kill feed, which means from the backside of the hard point, they get here first, and they're in a position to really take the first massive kind of spree of time. I mean, really, it's just kind of a back-and-forth affair. You take 10, we take 10, you take 10, we take 10. But this scrap time is going to be all the Stallions, as whatever it takes have conceded it in order to play the rotation, and even that's not convincing. The Stallions, they are absolutely running through this rotation and a chance to contest through fire.
And more teams on the day especially have struggled to hold down the spawns when they rotate first. Will there finally be a change-up? They do stop just a bit of it here through the outside of docks, finding a big kill. Zinx actually finding a second. Means that he will be able to stop a lot of that flip for the spawns to come through. So it's about what can you do from the front.
Clean.
Cryptic can't find anything, and now it's one by one they come here, making it very easy for the side of whatever it takes. Everyone going to have to slow down, make a team hit happen. There's still 30 seconds to be collected for whatever it takes.
Oh, and I love this from Zinx. He's kind of in a delayed setup here where the Stallions are forced to play through lobby. Pentagram kind of re-hitting with the sub, obviously a much more viable weapon in this situation, but still finds the automaton down low. How does Yuli win that? He's got shins of steel as Pentagram just put about 8 bullets into his toes, it looked like. Zinx now forced to have to reshell this off the delayed spawn with the rest of his teammates, and Kaiser's becoming a bit of a nuisance here at lobby. So what looked to initially be whatever it takes dominating the hill and putting some pressure on rotation, the Stallions find a miraculous rebreak, and that gives them some space as they soak up the early time as the train yard opens.
It truly does, and this is just going to stop them from getting across the map as soon as you typically want. You want to already be in the back trying to flip out the spawns. That's not going to happen, so now gunfight's going to have to be won. I like this angle from Proto. He picks up an automaton, says I can do it with both, and he goes to the other and shows us he can do exactly that. One with the MP40, one with the automaton. 5 kills in a row for Proto, taking some of the high ground now, repositioning, waiting for his teammates to coordinate here from the front. We'll see if Proto can find some more. There's number 6, looking for 7. This would be for the glide. We'll see if he can get it.
You have to play for this glide, I think, right here. And he tries to chat with his teammates, but Turiel just had the angle locked down on the cross and found him in his line of sight. Kaiser trying to win the last battle as Brack tries to sneak forward. And it'll be Yuli who cleans things up for the scrap. The Stallions, not necessarily off to the races, but out of the gate, pretty darn hot. Already over the century mark as we open up the 5th hardpoint at the broken hallway. Turiel putting some influence on the late side spawns through docks, but can't do too much with that position, allowing whatever it takes to gain full control of both sets of high ground across the middle of the map.
Oh, it's been a really fun hardpoint here so far, but let's see if whatever it takes can start to narrow that lead just a tad bit. Not the easiest hill to do it on, but you still can find yourselves with great hill time at certain points. Big battle here for Kaiser. He's got 2 members on him. If he can find both, oh my goodness! Kaiser goes to the pistol, and look at how much time this buys, and he's got a great read of the spawns. Kaiser's here again! How about that? Another double for Kaiser, turning for 3. Makes it an easy trade for Turiel, who's already on the rotation and set up anew.
Yeah, this is the thing, though. Turiel's completely by himself. Look at number 7 in Cryptic. Oh, my goodness, the timing of him is going to be absolutely phenomenal. 1 for free. Has more members just kind of looking at him through windowsills, and Cryptic's happy to take those eliminations. That will flip out the spawns before the hardpoint even opens up. Turiel, off his respawn, pushes forward, deals with the last contestant from the front, and then there's more in front of him. A literal buffet line for Turiel as he finds the double, giving the Stallions a chance to reinforce these hardpoints. But how about this? Zinx goes a little bit rogue with the automaton and actually creates some forced space through the middle, allowing whatever it takes to actually get back into the hard point without really being truly contested. A miraculous break back in from the front.
Zinx now has to try and hold on to it. This could be a big 30 seconds. Over to whatever it takes. Kaiser playing peekaboo here with Zinx. Gets the best of him. But Pentagram, he can still make an individual play. Pentagram for 2. No, it will not happen. Cryptic will find 2 of his own. Maybe even a 3rd as he snaps on Brack. And the Stallions have come alive here in this new rotation where they get the majority of the time here off of this point. At least the back half of it. And they already got 2 new players at the P2 Hill and Mail.
These are the exact players that you want in Mailroom. Turiel and Yuli, both with subs in hand. Cryptic trying to play the long route, searching for kill number 6 and 7. Little does he know that he missed Pentagram, though, and the spawns will be a little bit split. But as Cryptic takes care of one side of it, the Stallions will turn, realizing that there's only going to be contests from the back, and they deal with that swiftly. How about the Stallions? Streaks across the board, kills galore. Number 7 just peeking off the backside of the pillars as Brack will drop. 8 around the corner, no. Ziggs and Pentagram keeping the hopes for a break alive, and it's not even just hopes at this point in time. It is realism as 3 kills come through and whatever it takes, find a much-needed break. Yeah,
this time very much required, and it's only going to come down to Proto here to try to lock in 18 seconds for his team. Even if he can contest a bit of it, it would be big, but Yuli finds him through the wall. And that means scrap time over to the Stallions, just short now of 200 points. As we look at it, yet another critical rotation here in the cards for the side of the Stallions. Last time they were able to break through at 30 seconds. Can they do it earlier? Yuli's already in a great position.
And this is not good enough for whatever it takes. They did not get the setup that they wanted to. Look how passive Zinx is playing as the AR to try to lock down these spawns. Which means that even with this contest coming out, the Stallions have done enough to kind of at least force some of these reinforcements a bit more delayed. But, okay. Well, the backline portion of the frontline backline staple that Zinx brings with him lights things up. And now whatever it takes, try to push forward. Zinx on 3, though, may need to try to play for a bit of these streaks coming through, especially with the play coming around the back. Oh, my goodness. Zinx doesn't even get touched in that double. Swap to the pistol. That's 5 in a row. And he seems to think it's time to start putting some play through the middle of the map.
All right, time will end up going over to the Stallions here, but if Zinx can earn a glide bomb, can win this rotation somehow for his team, that is how whatever it takes gets back into this Berlin hardpoint. But it starts here, and it starts with kills coming in fairly quickly, and he's got Proto right underneath him. He can watch over top of him as Proto just tries to run through, maybe get to the back here. All of his time is going neutral, and they have no idea where Proto is, and you said it, 2 players not going to be a part of this play, at least for a few seconds. But Cryptic with the glide bomb gets lots of information as the push is about to come through.
Duril's on the hunt. He's going to find Zinx from behind for free. That split spawn situation was not at all expected nor read by whatever it takes. The only bit of good news is that they do hold some control around the back of the hard point, making sure that this train yard stays neutral for now. So Kaiser around the back, his teammates from the front as the Stallions look to break and deny any significant time here for whatever it takes, and Kaiser's going to tee off topside, able to do a little bit of parkour over, sees Brack at range. Can't quite finish the kill, but at least makes Brack know that he's going to be contested, or is he? Brack comes back forward, takes care of the challenger of Kaiser, and then sniffs out Cryptic from inside the rails, and that will be enough for whatever it takes to bring this back to within about 20.
Yeah, within 20 and it's P5, like you could not have asked for a better situation. Brack just getting that time is just so crucial. But what happens on P5? Who's going to win the majority of the time? We'll have to see if Proto, he can't really lock down Cryptic, who's now taken down 3 in that kill feed. Yuli able to find and add 1 more to it. So the Stallions, they get on top of the hard point now. Over 210 points. Cryptic still alive at the top of the 3rd floor, just peppering shots into anyone that enters in, but it's all up to Cryptic. 4 in a row, still staying alive, just holding his life. They're going to try to double hit him out. Let's see if it works. Cryptic for 1, does not read the 2nd, and finally, they're able to take Cryptic out of the power spot.
But the Stallions are fine with this. They're holding on to spawns the entire way. That was a team effort just to kill Cryptic up top for whatever it takes, which of course means not only are you missing time on the hard point, but you haven't even tried to influence this rotation back to P1. And Turiel seems to think he can hit a pinch from here. It was a bit egregious to say the least. And he gets punished for his transgressions, but Cryptic from inside the windows! Oh, they line up for 2, gets a read on the Proto, and well, it's the Wild West out here, says Cryptic. I'll meet you at dawn with pistols! Cryptic may have just won the game! 4 in a row, and Kaiser makes safe the platform. Nades coming through, giving whatever it takes a chance, but is there really even a hope for this? 5 in a row, Cryptic doing it all himself as we get to 245. Last attempt for whatever it takes, shut down by Turiel and Cryptic, who will close the game on a 6 spree. It's the Stallions up first with a big map 1 win.
Oh, the Stallions, they're coming to play today, and so is Cryptic. 6 spree at the end. A ridiculous amount of sprees come through from that man. We highlighted him for a reason. He can come out here, he can take over games. 33 and 18, 27 of those kills untraded. He is just a menace on the map. There are no ARs on the opposite side here for whatever it takes. Dealing with him, which is making things, completely hell for ourselves because like we can't get to the hill. This guy is just an absolute brick wall and we can't run through him. Man, what a performance coming through here. And this was, again, a back and forth affair until we got to about that 2nd rotation, Alan, and that's when we started to see the Stallions really take control over that scoreboard.
Oh, absolutely. Also a bit disappointed that you went with a wall reference and we're on Berlin. You didn't make a Berlin wall reference, but we'll work on that. The thing about this, really, at the end of the day, is this is what we saw from Cryptic last week. By the way, it was in moments like this where you need to see somebody kind of just holding down a lane, make sure that you're able to put some contest at least over on the one side to let your SMGs run, and Cryptic doesn't even need the SMG portion of that formula. He's just going to do it all himself.
Wow.
And this is a very forward angle, and the thing about it, you kind of saw it there at the end. Yuli was ready to hit that pinch. He was so far pushed forward in the middle of the map that even if Cryptic were to have fallen, him setting up that lane means that even if he dies, Yuli picks up where he had left off. So that little interchange that we kind of see between the two of them is something that you really love to see at a high level, and they're executing that now. That was something they missed in the first week worth of games. But here in the second, they found a lot of success setting each other up, and it helps when Cryptic is able to do a lot of it himself, going 33 and 18, 3,500 total damage, and a minute and a half plus worth of hill time. The only thing you could ask for him, as far as wanting more, is maybe his autograph at this point.
Yeah, well, the next thing that falls in line, and with the way that he's playing, I'm sure that you might be getting some of those. You might be getting asked some of those, Alan, because he's been so good. And it's so interesting because it feels like from time to time we get these players that just kind of almost start standing out after being maybe a little bit, just neutral or just like a tad bit complacent in our eyes for as far as, what they're bringing. They've been average, but Cryptic, especially, since last week, we have just started to narrow in on, okay, what is he doing so well, and why are we talking about him constantly? And it's one, because he just puts himself in positions where it feels like he's just got such a massive advantage. We see it at the end of that P1 hill where he is just, playing with a tiny bit of cover through that window, and he is just finessing his life, making himself as hard to kill as possible while coming out with a ridiculous multi-kill. I mean, that 4 spree there, that complete wipe, the 1v4, I mean, whatever else you want to call it, is just, it's so incredible here from Cryptic. And it's those little moments that we start to, really highlight a player for and start to say, listen, this player is the one you have to keep your eyes on. And here's why: because he is making massive moments in the game happen that are leading towards a dub, that are leading towards a win. And when you can make those happen all by yourself, that's what makes you a really special player. And so far, Cryptic, I think, is really starting to reach that level, at least as of late.
Yep. It's the definition of playmaker. I know it's something that gets thrown around on broadcast time in, time out, but the way that you explain it is exactly why that label has been, at least in some form, merited and earned by Cryptic, at least through one. Let's not, get too big for our britches here. Hopefully you got your suspenders on, because we've got ourselves a series that very well could see more tight affairs like that. Map number 2, a Tuscan Search and Destroy. We already talked about these teams. They really do favor the same map sets, especially these first 4. The only outlier would be map number 5, in which we have not yet seen in group play for the Elite the Stallions play it. And on the opposite side, for whatever it takes, we've barely seen them play it whatsoever. So in your mind here, Austin, do you have to come out and win this map number 2 for whatever it takes? Or is it kind of like it would be nice, but not necessarily a must, because there is still potential in the map 3 and map 4 to take those away in your name?
Yeah, I think this one is a little bit different from the last series that we just saw, with Ultra, because I feel like there are strong enough mentals on this team, with the likes of Zinx and Brack. I think that they're really calm, cool, collected players that if you do drop the second map, I think that you can still recover and come back in the control, and then maybe even get us to a map 5, even with the way that they play the Gavutu hardpoint at times. So I don't think that this is a must win. I think it would, of course, be nice. You want to tie the series going into map number 3, but I wouldn't count them out if they do drop this Tuscan Search and Destroy. I think that off the back end of what we've seen from this squad, we have seen them make some incredible comebacks before. I think this is just a little bit of a rough start. Also, Cryptic kind of taking over. They were unable to match it. Yeah. And, that's probably not going to happen every single game. At least it shouldn't here. So I'm still thinking that they're fine, but you do need to come out here and make sure that it's at least close. You do not want to be blown out of the water by any means, because I do think the Stallions squad is a team that can definitely roll over you once they start to get some of that momentum. Once they start to get rolling, they get hyped up, and they can get hyped up quick.
Now, I also want to point, at least our memory, if not the viewers out there at large, to remember that when we first watched the Stallions team kind of execute on what we labeled as unorthodox creativity, it happened on the Tuscan Search and the Tuscan Control. So one of the big frame-ups when we were watching this team play up against Texas Nation last week was, would that flexibility, variety, and creativity overwhelm the professionalism and discipline from Texas Nation? The answer was no on Tuscan Search, but yes on Tuscan Control. So I think when it comes down to the ability maybe to not just win this map, but to follow up on the Tuscan Control, there is a lot still to be asked of whatever it takes. There's no clear pathway to easy victories for either team in this series, but I think when it comes to the Stallions bringing out that kind of unique look, it could potentially catch a team like whatever it takes off guard. I'm really looking at this map right now to see if that's going to be in play again for the Stallions, or will it, whatever it takes, be able to get on top, set the pace for themselves, and play their style of game here on Tuscan.
Well, let's see what we get. Bounce back here for whatever it takes. Stallions looking to go up 2-0. and see if they can give whatever it takes a massive loss here in the week number 2. But Zinx, I think, might have been able to give that call out, but still, Yuli smokes Pentagram, and 2 Real is there for Zinx on the response, and now everything comes crumbling down here for whatever it takes. 2 versus 4. The good news is at least Proto has the bomb, but we'll see if he even wants to work for a plan.
Bro, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, that little,
How do you
they
read that?
essentially draw an infinity logo in the middle of the map with their SMGs kind of circling around one another. And then for the 4v2, I don't think we've ever seen another team do something quite like this. Where now they're going to play off a late flank, and whatever it takes, they think they're doing their job correctly. They're like, hey, we've cleared out a lot of space here. We're in an okay spot for maybe a 2v4. Little do they know, they've got no ground to work with. I mean, it's clearing off space through B and then holding 1-for-1 angles. And so it's off to Brack, 1v4. Gets away for a time. May have to turn to take a fight, though, as a couple of different members are looking at him. But he does cross back. 15 seconds means that he's got to get this bomb and quickly plant. And with the pressure coming out for the Stallions, I don't believe he's going to get a chance to do either of those two things, especially now. He's able to tally 1 elimination, but there goes the time allotted for him to get the plant off, and the Stallions will just kind of hug and hold hands on the back of the map while they watch themselves tally the first defense.
Yeah, you know what that play reminds me of? It reminds me of how actually Optic Texas likes to play on defense when they play the Tuscans, where they'll just completely back off of the A site saying, if you want to plant it, that's fine, because we can play a retake and just push through maps, but we don't want to give you the B plant, because the B plant is the one site where there are so many angles that you can wrap around from, that you could go and hide into. It's just almost difficult at times to be able to actually track down the players. So I really love that play, and already the creativity kind of coming in. But what are we going to get for offense here? And I think a lot of it might take place with player number 6. 2 Real either might look to push all the way through B, or at some point in time, he can kind of wrap through this mid-alley, kind of get back to his teammates if he has to, but the door is going to open right in his face. 2 Real from the door there for 1. No!
Oh!
2 Real, you do not get that second. What was that?
2 Real, more like 2 good. Doubles down 3 in a row for him. Now the thing is, whatever it takes, are playing this from opposite sides of the map, but it just does not make a difference. 2 Real.
Oh my.
Holy smokes, how does he win? What? Bro.
From the way he played it too, Alan, I was like, does he know the door opened?
There's no way.
He didn't move. He almost didn't move for a second, then he just turned to the right time, gets the snap, and then he's throwing a stun, Alan. He's throwing a stun,
Unreal.
and he gets the second.
There is no analysis to that moment. That is just pog you all over the place. That is unbelievable. So now all of a sudden, you want to talk about trying to set yourself up
Yeah.
to get into a spot to potentially set the tempos. Boy, have the Stallions ever done that. Whatever it takes, though, this time, first ball, that's towards the north side of the map, and there's nobody else here, and Brack is getting a read that there could potentially be a flank. He'll toss both sets of nades as the bomb, well, initially was looking to get planted, but it's actually backed off for a second here, so the Stallions have a chance to maybe recover and maybe recollect themselves if they continue to try to bounce back Brack.
The bomb will get planted around that you need if you're whatever it takes. You have everything covered that you would ever want covered here. Zink's bottom can kind of bounce back. He can flank bottom church. Kaiser, though, is ready for it. He finds Zinx. Proto's going to get one back. So 30 seconds left. Now turned into a 1 versus 3 here for Kaiser. Going to make things pretty impossible. It's not going to happen. Whatever it takes, they will finally be able to get that first round on the board.
And you can almost feel the collective just exhale.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes right there. Because I'll
can.
tell you, if that play through P5, if they found Brack, you almost feel like the numbers would not have made much of a difference for the Stallions. But no, this time they do kind of collect themselves, at least marginally so. We're still early days, but you feel like, once again, the tension between both of these two teams is just going to continue to amount until eventually we get to a boiling point. So what do the Stallions have for us this time? Nades flooded up to the middle of the map, but nothing gets found by this. This is counter nade strat from whatever it takes. They wait to see what the play is going to be. They find the first 2 kills, but the bomb does get planted, allowing an opportunity for a 2v4 post-plant setup as Yuli finds the first.
Oh, little bait and switch here in the back is going to put us into a 2v2.
Unreal.
Now it's a 1v2. Zinx is like, where do my teammates go? I got to clutch up, and he doesn't finish off the shots, but he turns back. It's chaos. Zinx gets a chance to reset the fight. 20 seconds left, however. He does not have much time to work with. He's going to have to go to see if he can pull off this 1 versus 2. But on the heady, my Stallions, 2 versus 4. That was beautiful.
Here's the thing that you have to just credit the composure from the Stallions. Your opening nades tagged nobody. So you know for a fact with your last remaining member that's not the bomb carrier watching your topside A that you can still plant even though you lose the first 2 members in the middle of the map. It gives you an opportunity to force whatever it takes to come back quickly, and you can stop them from getting through the top side of that by pushing forward. That is a brilliant piece of awareness while dropping the first 2 kills. And now how about it? You drop the first 2, you take the next 2, and the Stallions just are not being touched right now.
No, they're winning every engagement. There is now almost a different level of confidence in the air after winning that 2 versus 4. And you have so much to recover from. I mean, and they're both automaton players too, right? So it's not even like you have an MP40 to kind of get in here and get a little mixy. It's so hard to maneuver cleanly against everyone who's going to be set up against you. And Zinx, once again, last one left alive. I don't think he has a shot in this 1v4. Might be able to get the bomb, but I don't think this one's happening, Zinx.
No. He does have the opportunity maybe to isolate one, but I mean, yeah, I was going to say you have to find him first. Oh, boy, dude. So here's the thing. And it's, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I remember the genuine excitement that you and I both had watching the Stallions team last week. And we were kind of coming across as like, all right, the ideas are great, but can you polish the execution?
Mm-hmm.
We got our answer, Austin.
Yeah,
this is as polished as you've seen. And it's just the mindset that these young guys have, again, not by age, but by experience and challengers, to pull this off is really immaculate. And another new look. This is another fresh look for the Stallions on this offense. 4-man hit to B. The only thing about this is whatever it takes are throwing those same nades, and they will have numbers nearby. Proto cannot find the first kill, but look how fast whatever it takes can start getting in a position to try to defend this plant.
Oh, but will this bomb go down? That's the question, Too Real.
Hello?
He's like right on top of him, isn't he? Yeah, there he is. Zinx is going to drop. He's probably a little confused in that kill cam as well, but nonetheless, 2 members now remaining for whatever it takes as they are caught in the back of the map. They're waiting for challenges, and Kaiser says, well, I'll take it. How about a second? Oh, no. I'll wait for my teammates to move in for this one as Pentagram might be able to take down one. Nope, not the case. The Stallions, they are just... They're on. They're on the horses. They're running them down right now, Alan.
Look, I don't know who makes the play call or if this is even a cognitive kind of thought process on this offensive setup, but I think you look back to your previous offense. We just got heavy naded mid-map where we lost our first 2 kills. If whatever it takes think that that's a success moment and they do it again, that means they've got no nades to retake B, nor are they throwing any nades to see if we're hitting B. So if that's actually the case, I don't know who would be kind of cosplaying Will Ferrell from Megamind here, but the brain is big. Shoutouts if you've seen that film.
I haven't seen it.
Me neither, actually.
Yuli comes through, finds Zinx. Cryptic here onto Brack, and it is just looking like it's falling to pieces. Just give it to them. It's all up to Proto. 1v4. It's not going to happen. Stallions, one of the fastest S&Ds we've gotten on the day. A 6-1 victory. They'll just trample whatever it takes into the ground as they go 2-0 up here in the best of 5.
I need to know who's IGLing for this squad, bro. I really do. I'm going to have to ask the question because
it's Yuli.
That would be my guess, too. That's where I was going to go. I would imagine that Yuli's got a big voice in this. I imagine Kaiser's probably a big part of the equation as well. But it's just, it's not even the fact that they're executing a couple of cool things. Every single round, we saw something different. Yeah. There wasn't a single round out of the 7 that we just had where we knew what the Stallions were going to do. Every offense was unique. Every defense had a different look off the rip as far as either nades or even in particular, after the round that they got doubled up and they still won the 2v4, all it was an AR team shot spree through the A side along. And even that was finding success. It was just... That was one of the best search and destroys we've seen all day, if not all stage.
All stage, I think, for sure. Like, I mean, it's so hard from the other side. Like, if you just put yourself in the shoes of whatever it takes to try to read what's going to happen, because everything just feels so unpredictable. And also, when plays like this are happening, where Two Real's got a stun out, and it's just finding the second there as you slide through for the trading doesn't happen. Like, there's so many of these moments that are taking place that they got to be so demoralizing to begin with. But I mean, the creativity, the shot calling, like whoever's doing it, as you're saying, it's so typical, Alan, because it's so fun to watch, and it's so hard to read. Like, how are you going to expect some of these play calls to come through the way that they're doing? And I think the fact is that they're always doing it with no fear whatsoever. It's always the commitment to the play, and it's never like, oh, okay, we lost one, like, let's backtrack and play safe and pre-aim and hope someone, runs into us. No, that's not what they're playing for. You can see that there's always a type of strategy. There's always something more to what they're doing on the map, and that is just incredible, and it's taking you back constantly here. I mean, 2-0. My goodness. The series like that we're predicting, like going in today, we're like, yeah, we're gonna have some good series. Like, I can see this one going to game 5. It's like, man, everyone knows what's on the line. They know that 3-0s are so important, and they're just coming out here and frying on the day. It's insane.
There's so much that you could really like slow down and watch how every single member defensively on their protocols is being enabled to shine in the same locations that they always play, right? Wow, it really is. There's a lot to take away from this Stallions team, my dude. I'll say that much. However, and we have to underline, bold, italicize, whatever, because even though this is a map that looked so convincing for the Stallions, map 3 and map 4 are absolutely within the map pool of whatever it takes. The Tuscan Control and Gavudu Hardpoint are not unfamiliar. The only map that is outside of the realm of comfortability based off of what we've seen so far in the group stage is the map 5. So, it was a convincing search, yes. And we know that the Stallions have a lot of creative looks, even on the Tuscan Control, but all of that said, whatever it takes is by no means a poor control team.
No, this is where I feel like they'll be able to get themselves back into the series here. I mean, this is obviously where they're going to have to do it, but I think this is where they could actually maybe still force a potential game 5, because I remember talking to Brack, at least in the last season, and they had come out and said, like, hey, listen, like, our control has gotten so much better, and we were looking at the statistics going into playoffs. We're like, well, we'll see if that actually holds true, because it doesn't really show on paper. And then we saw them play, and it really did see like there was a totally different change, and we wondered, was that going to be a little bit different now that Pentagram's into the roster? And it doesn't really feel like that has swayed too much of their success. So I think that this is still a great chance for them to still work back into the series. They're going to have to do it, but with the hot Stallions that has just been in takeover mode, like, is it really going to happen? Sure, this might be your best map mode combination here, whatever it takes, but you're going to have to overcome a lot more than just control zones here. You're going to have to try to overcome the Stallions that is just running at you, slaying you down, not giving you opportunities to even think because of how fast they're playing. So let's see if they can do it. Map number 3, it is do or die. Let's see whatever it takes. What do they have for us?
2-2 stack for Stallions through the middle and also towards B, and oh my god. They just rip off 2 clean kills through mid-map with subs, bro. Are you kidding me? Now the whole flank is coming around the back. 2Real's already gotten up top into fire. Pentagram knows he has to clear it, but he's not able to save Brack's life, although he does pick up a nice double here, so it does kind of re-clear out the middle of the map, and it allows his teammates a chance to secure not just 1, but 2 ticks of progress at A, but the Stallions do not want to give away this cleanly.
No, they do not want to come and fight for it. Zinx will end up dropping. One last player. It's up to Brack. He's going to have to come out with a ridiculous 1v2, and it does not happen. The Stallions get here, and they're just going to delay a little bit more time here. Even if they end up losing the zone, which they might not, because 2Real could still play a bit of defense, it would still be fine. But how is 2Real alive in this situation? Finally, he's going to drop. You should be able to now move in, and that will be the extra minute.
Not bad for whatever it takes. It was almost at a situation, though, where you felt like the Stallions, with that re-clear of the A zone, they could immediately start spawn trapping. But this route from Kaiser, wait a second, whatever it takes, they're going to spawn rooftops. They know someone's on the flank, and they pick it up perfectly, does Pentagram. So now 2Real, he's going to try to zone forward, and the timing here is incredible. Finds Pentagram for the first, backs away, not able to fully keep his life, expecting a second challenger from P5. So Brack will tally up the trade. We go back and forth, and Stallions are at least in a position to hold patio and contest through P5. This is a good defensive spot for them to be in.
It almost looks like every single time, whatever it takes, deal with one, it's like another comes from behind. It's like, where are they coming from? Are they spawning back there? What is going on? And Pentagram has dealt with this gunfight now 3 times. Will he be able to come through and win yet another one? But instead, Kaiser backs all the way up. They have a player inside of maps. They just need to make sure that they do not let them through here at the front. And now Kaiser might have gotten information on one. Cryptic could still play for the late pinch. And here he comes from behind. That's the first one. Shots onto the second. Brack knows he's there, and he is still taking the challenge, but Zinx will clean him up, and now they've been able to deal with players in the back.
The mental chess has whatever it takes feeling like trapeze artists at the moment. They're always thinking there's someone's on the flank. They're looking inside out, upside down, left, right, center. Who knows where the Stallions are? And this is the one time where the Stallions kind of hold off, hit the brakes a little bit, and just utilize positions eventually to come back through and retake high ground. Whatever it takes, we're so worried about the flank that they never really cleared out P5 whatsoever. And even though Pentagram wins at least a single gunfight, it's not going to amount to too much. Whatever it takes now has to completely re-clear. Two is trying to hit a bit of a pinch, but with that kill onto Zinx, he kind of gives away his position, allowing the trade to come out. It's a 13v8, but largely, look at this from whatever it takes perspective. It's an 8v19 seconds. They've got to find a way to stop this clock.
Yeah, and you have to clear out a player top patio. They do at least find Kaiser inside of radio, so they get a touch on the zone, but Cryptic has found 2. Yuli will drop. Turiel is there for the trade, and now it's all up to Brack, as he's only going to play for some kills. I can't imagine he's going to be able to get on that zone, and it's not going to happen. So really clean defensive end here for Stallions around the B point. They only let whatever it takes touch it once, and it's at the very end of the round.
Here's the situation. Just to look at the macro of this series. Huge shout-outs to James and the rest of the MLGGB crew. If whatever it takes loses this series, it'll be UYU and Stallions that make it through. However, if whatever it takes find a way to reverse sweep, it would be whatever it takes and infamous esports that make their way into the 3-4 position. So that's what's on the line. It literally is a win and you're in situation. UYU is now currently the biggest set of Stallions fans this side of Zuma's stream. And on the other side of this, esports are meticulously rooting for whatever it takes as we get an opening hit towards B that largely does get shut down by whatever it takes as defense.
Yeah, it sure does. And now it's probably going to be about, okay, let's switch over to A. Just see if we can maybe make that miracle hit happen at the start. Play for a tick of progress. It doesn't work out. But can they get through Pentagram? No, they cannot. Pentagram takes down 3. And now it's actually a bit of a panic here for the side of the Stallions, because they're going to have to basically get their hand forced to go to B. But Pentagram, he's wrapped all the way around the back. Oh, but he doesn't check his right, but doesn't matter. He's still able to come up with 1. Good information as well. And Zinx, he could come right back through and find some trades.
And this is good patience from Zinx. He's got help from Proto in the front. He does not necessarily have to reveal his position, but he's going to be forced to come back. Kaiser! Oh! Absolutely world star Zinx! Shuts him down, shuts him up, and with that, progress on B started to be made. But interestingly enough, as the Stallions have continued to spawn down towards rooftops, they may not be able to get here in time. 25 seconds to the clock.
Oh. That's a teammate, one that could cost them, but maybe Kaiser could hold on to the play. He's still got a member with them here, so they are only working towards B. They have no one over to A. They are full committing, and look at this pinch right through Church Alley. It was a kill there for Turiel. He finds a couple. Zinx now, left alone, waiting for his teammates to come off spawn. Pentagram on the pinch. That's 1. That's 2 for Pentagram.
Oh!
Top! But it's Kaiser who responds back. Everyone here for whatever it takes, trying to hold on to this B point, and they will be able to clear them off. But everyone comes right back off spawn for the Stallions. They get over to A, and now it's 10 lives playing up against 11 in favor of the Stallions.
You want to talk about playing scared? Whatever it takes are going to forfeit the A zone for free. They're thinking 10v11, minute and a half, not even, minute and 10 seconds. Where am I at? They think that they could just hold this defensive setup. The one thing about this is the Stallions will not know in any form where whatever it takes are going to be positioned. So it's all about finding trades. Brack takes down 1, immediately responded to. Holding down the trigger is Yuli, but can find nothing, leaving Kaiser by himself. But who knows, that very well may be enough. But he wisely backs down from the gunfight and wants to wait for help. 40 seconds on the clock.
You only need 1 hit. 1 hit, you can stack the zone and play for the tick of progress. Zinx again, though. How good has he been? Those last couple of engagements outside of maps, finding Yuli on top of it. 1 by 1. The Stallions starting to fall. So they have one push into the back. 20 seconds left on this clock with only one tick of progress needed. Every single gunfight needs to be won.
Oh, Proto locks down the hit through Church Alley, though. This is dire straits as far as an offense coming through. Yuli trying to work this with Kaiser, but Kaiser will drop, leaving it all onto the shoulders of Yuli, and nothing will come this time around. We'll get a defense, but barely. I say barely, but they actually finished this off. It was 10v11. They dropped one life, did whatever it takes. That was actually a very efficient hold, even after the backside of conceding the A zone for free.
And you got to give some credit to Zinx for being a huge part of that defense, right? Just not allowing any of those sub players to come through radio and be able to actually work through the front of patio, try to break down some of that defensive setup. They hold it the entire time. Zinx holds strong, playing his life, just kind of sliding back and forth through that narrow corridor, allowing them to hold on here. So 1-1 we go. But here we go, right into now, round number 3, already onto the A zone. No funny business for the side of whatever it takes, just standard play.
And the thing is, look at this defensive response, really from whatever it takes is what I mean, because the Stallions did the exact same thing last time, but whatever it takes wanted to try to recontest the middle of the map, but this time it's the long flank that finds the success, leaving Proto by himself. And on 3 in a row, you know Proto was thinking at the top of this round, I could play for streaks, and wait a second, he may still be able to. On 4 turns, no! Two-Real shuts him down, the full regen not there, but boy did Proto nearly give it a go. Pentagram following up does take the trade, and with that, whatever it takes, get their second tick of progress at A.
Second tick, possibly the third, and I think this one might be conceded unless player 8 decides to move in, but Cryptic with the AR likely just going to stay posted up as Pentagram starting to work into the back here. Shot's going to be taken on the Two-Real, so it does give his position away, but he does not find the kill. But I like this play from Pentagram. Wrap back, see if you can deal with Cryptic. Try to get with your teammates and allow them to come through maps here. It's just all about finding where these players are going to be positioned in, and Pentagram has not been able to lock down anyone just yet.
Well, Pentagram's going to stop the clock here. This is going to force Stallions to have to make the first play. They're looking for a defensive response where they can just hold their ground. But Pentagram's already halfway to a first tick of progress. Kaiser's able to pick apart Proto, and then the nades finally come on in, dealing with Pentagram just before the first tick comes out. That is a clinical, if surgical at that, setup when it comes to the Stallions. They make good use of it. Brack for the final 1v1 can get nothing, and Kaiser turns that into a double. Goodness me. And that now creates extra time off the clock, down to a minute 40, 20 playing 19.
Cryptic almost held on to that hot potato a little too long there, but he just gets it out in time. And now onto patio, right into radio. Everything good again for the Stallions to at least stop them from pushing through right away. You have them trapped in the bottleneck, but Pentagram slides through. Brack is also with them. Can they do it again? Flying out is Pentagram for 1. Looking for the second, but he's fighting for the low ground, so it's easy. Clean up for Cryptic, who might have just found 3, 1 by 1. Cryptic shutting them down, stopping whatever it takes from having a shot to get on top of that zone, and now we're down to a minute 10.
I mean, have they not seen? Have they not heard? You can't just solo chow Cryptic, giving him the high ground. It's not going to happen. Now Kaiser, feeling a little froggy, wanted to get aggressive through P5, turned aside here, and whatever it takes, we'll get a chance to set things up again. And hopefully, you would have to think for whatever it takes, fans, that they could actually set Nate out this patio position that now Yuli is possessing. Two-Real playing down low on the staircase is getting good help from Cryptic afar. And this is not enough. Whatever it takes, they kind of have to still wait. They cannot try to push through this without their 4th member.
Oh, Two-Real finds another one. Pentagram can't find the entry this time around. 30 seconds left on the clock. Look at how tight the Stallions are on this B zone. Every single lane is covered. And oh, Proto puts shots into Brack there. Makes it an easy cleanup for Cryptic, who's once again on another spree. So 15 seconds on the clock. This push is going to have to come through, and it's going to have to come through now.
The thing about this is they do have Pentagram in a position to try to play this from a different angle. Brack set nade deals with the only defender on the zone. They're trying to just isolate patio by not even contesting it. Does this work out, though? Yuli around the back. He has created the opportunity to get into radio. Proto down low, trying to find the response, but there's just too many Stallions members all around the point. Defense looking good, but you have to remember that the previous round was a convincing 9-1 finish on the lives in favor of whatever it takes. So the defense holds, and we go to a round 4 where the Stallions, I believe, still will have to do some corrective work when it comes to the life total.
Man, this entire map, knife's edge, whatever it takes, have to win. And would it ever be a perfect job here? Just lock it down defensively. Get us to around 5. Hold on to that life lead. That's really what it comes through. What it's going to come through with. But Cryptic, 24 and 16. How good has he been? He could be the saving light here for the side of the Stallions, as it's an immediate stack. 4 members strong. Proto is going to try to get him through all the stuns, and he will be able to come out with 1. Brack there for 1 as well. 2 real, the last one left alone on the zone, and there will be a trade. That first tick of progress also did not come through.
Yeah, those nades were literally flawless from whatever it takes. It looked like there was a missile barrage coming down as it just littered the backside of the A zone, weakening up so many of the Stallions members. But wait a second, whatever it takes, maybe got a little bit too aggressive here. You thought maybe for a second, but then Pentagram just says, nah, Shift, we got you. Easy 3K for him, and now off the back, Kaiser, nothing to do but fall. And look what Pentagram has done. He knows he's pushed these spawns completely over to make sure that the only option is towards B. And this is just an onslaught coming through at the moment. Proto and Pentagram just cleaning everything up. And now 26v20. But the biggest problem here for the Stallions, 40 seconds on the clock and no progress on any zone.
And we're yet to see something like this take place, where the Stallions just have almost looked a little lost here on the minimap, at least off the start. They have not been able to recover whatsoever after that initial hit over to A. And Zinx is going to be watching over it on the Godheady. Does not have assistance with him just yet, but Pentagram apparently has assistance over the top with some nades, and that's going to weaken up just a little bit more of this attack here for the side of the Stallions. Starting to drop. Yuli, though, will recover with 1 back. Feeling the pressure under fire, just trying to stop that clock. Gets good help, and will be able to find the second, and that's 1 tick of progress in, almost the second.
How annoying is Yuli right now? He eventually falls, but goodness, you only gave him a couple of eyebrows to shoot at for a while. Second tick of progress confirmed, the third imminent, and we'll have to consider a minute and 18 seconds in a 19v11 in which, I want to talk about annoying, Pentagram has just completely turned himself into a phantom. 1 kill in the back, retrains over towards mid, which Yuli eventually deals with, but the whatever it takes defense is still in pretty significant and powerful positions. This needs to be a very clean break attempt to get through this setup here, the Stallions. Great bait and switch.
Bait and switch. Yuli there for the first one. Cryptic needs to respond with the second, so that's an excellent start. Down in a lot of lives. Kaiser now coming through on the pinch. We'll be able to tag up both members, but Proto still wins the battle as they fly to the maps. So Cryptic, what can you do? You're going to have to deliver on a big play or at least hold your life here. 35 seconds on the clock, down by a total of 10 lives with only 6 remaining. It's certainly hurting here for the Stallions, but they still have at least 1 more push left in them.
Yeah, the biggest problem here is not necessarily getting to the zone. It's the fact that you don't really have a win condition built by stacking the zone either. It's just there is so much that has to be done here to turn that into a reality. So even though there's a couple of good eliminations, the clock still vastly favors the defense of whatever it takes. Brack for the double. Cryptic looking to do something miraculous again. And Kaiser from behind them, they may actually get a handful of kills, allowing them a chance to stop the clock, but it does not look likely. 3 seconds on. Kaiser not going to be allowed to touch. And that will send us to around 5. And the margins looking positive for whatever it takes to put together a handful of very good defense, if we're being candid.
Yeah, that was one of the better ones that we've seen. We go back to the first one, right? There's 2 ticks of progress that go over. Last one, I think they were able to get at least 1. But that one, super clean. Extremely clean here so far. And now you just need 1 more. 1 more defensive round, Alan. It all starts with this map, and everything could start to change here. But do not count out the Stallions. They have thrown quite a few unique strategies in. I thought they were going for a 4-man mid. I think they were almost ready for it, but they're going to run right to the zone. They're running all the way through.
Yep, they're going for it. They did this against the Texas Nation squad, and they pulled it off, but whatever it takes. They weren't born yesterday. Did their homework, knew about the potential of the cut around the world backside church, and they pick it up flawlessly. So now extra pressure thrown in towards the Stallions offense. Although this is a pretty clean recovery. You don't have Pentagram getting as far forward as he had last defense. So stopping the clock right now, pardon me, is the Stallions 2-man stack that lead to 1 tick of progress. And how about it? They're still making the push through happen. Yuli's already on the back. They just have to isolate Proto, and there's an opportunity for them to get progress onto 2 zones at once. But Proto does pick up at least 1 key elimination, resulting in the Stallions having to rely on the A zone.
Oh, Too Real will be able to apply some pressure over to B. He doesn't win that second engagement on the minimap, though, so you have to stop the clock here if you're the Stallions. You got to get on top of this A zone. Stop the time from ticking away, and how good has Pentagram been? He has turned up here for us. Another 2 kills coming into the feed for Pentagram. Clears out everything for the front of B. Now there's still a chance to play retake over towards A, but you're going to have to get through Kaiser, who finds a big elimination through the middle of the map here. This is going to enable a heck of a lot for the Stallions, but can they make another successful hit come through into the back? It's 19 lives playing up against 18, and they have about a minute 40 to work with.
Yeah, this is interesting because we've seen them in this position before, where it's not just the off-the-break setup that they kind of rewrap and go around the church. There will be moments, and this may be one of them, where they try to full flood around the back once again. The problem is they've lost Kaiser, so you have to make sure that this top side of the map is contested in some form. And it looks like Yuli may be the one trusted to do that. Obviously very aware that a flank could be coming through. It's a 4-man stack for the Stallions, stabled up inside of the church. And it's who's going to move first. It's Too Real. Zinx takes care of it. No trade anywhere in sight. And Zinx is able to get himself recovered and find a double. A massive 2-piece there for whatever it takes as they reestablish their defensive lead. And Zinx nearly takes down all 4 before Kaiser finally gets the trade.
Oh, it buys so much time, but look at this. No one's in the back right now. So you could collapse and find all of these kills and potentially stack the zone here. And it's a pretty tight setup defensively, and they're going to realize this. So as soon as you go down, if you're whatever it takes, you're going to start to spawn out grass beside church. So these kills are so big. What will they be able to do? Cutting them down through the back. Zinx knows exactly where they are. Finds that first one easily. Second one is there as well. And Zinx has been able to find 2. Brack gets the third. The Stallions, they are on their last legs. One last push. 15 seconds left.
And that's the problem with that type of a setup. If whatever it takes defaults to playing all 4 members on the high ground in front of the zone, those are just nearly impossible gunfights. 5 seconds on the clock, and Zinx is absolutely frying. 4 in a row, not missing a shot onto the 5th. Kaiser gets put down, and so with it, the hopes of a 3-0 for Stallions fans, meaning that we will go to a map number 4, whatever it takes, very much so, still alive in the series.
Oh, that's what it came down to. We needed to see someone really take over. The first 4 rounds, mainly all Pentagram. This last round, all Zinx, as he puts up some big numbers there for us. I mean, he had a pretty slow start, it felt like, for the most part to that map, but that round 5, that's where he's able to redeem himself completely. Goes on that spree. There was just multiple moments where we were getting 2, 3 kills out of an AR player, up close even at times, which is not easy to do. But there to deliver is, in fact, Zinx. I mean, incredible back and forth map, and this is the one that gets them back into it, Alan. It all started with this one, like we said.
It is just, you see these moments, especially in the first couple of rounds, where it does feel like the Stallions are just continuing to play their game, forcing whatever it takes to have to respond. The thing about it is they eventually did put together a significant response. The defense largely able to deal with all of the kind of quote-unquote trickery that we've been labeling the Stallions' play style off of their offensive looks on Tuscan. And maybe some of that is just due to the fact that they've done their homework. I mean, it's not like it's been concealed. The Stallions have been on stream a handful of times on this map mode combo. But I think on top of that, it's just the awareness on the team level for whatever it takes. I mean, Pentagram a key in round number 4's defense, and then this from Zinx really cements it. And I think he was like 16 and 22 before he went into that final round. So the fact that he finished off 27 and 25 is great news for Zinx, not just in this map, but also in the confidence. But you want to talk about big playmakers. How about Pentagram? 36 and 27, nearly 5k damage, bro. That's an unbelievable number.
Yeah, we have to talk about Pentagram because we haven't talked about Pentagram, right? Like, for the most part throughout Vanguard, like, he has not been one of our key vocal points when we look at specific teams. And I think to see this from a player, obviously, of his caliber, we know what he's capable of. We saw it all of last year, but we needed to see it, at the start of this year, and we finally get it. Like, that is a map that Pentagram says, yeah, I was the difference maker in that one. And he was. 36 kills coming through. How many times was he in the back of the base just, finding 3-4 consecutive kills, shutting down offensive pushes all by himself, delaying time, putting his team in a better position? That's what you needed. And I think a key problem that we saw on the other side here for the Stallions is that we didn't get that out of Yuli, who is usually one of those entry players, right? Who is really doing a lot of that here for you.
The thing is, too, it's a tough game statistically for Yuli, But you have to imagine that his EKA inside a game, he's not looking at this saying, oh, I just got smoked, because he still found 2,800 damage and 10 assists. So it obviously wasn't the greatest game from our point of view looking at the final scoreboard, but, you know, at least he's a part of a lot of what was starting to become, you know, the ideas and attempts at initiation from the Stallions, especially on those offensive hits. It's just tough because you find yourself as one of the two subs. You're forced to make plays in tight situations, especially with the type of play style that the Stallions are trying to put together on this map mode combo. So not the greatest game from overall, obviously, but I think from his point of view, he's not going to be too upset with it just due to the fact that he was able to put together pretty consistent damage with his teammates, and he still pulled 10 assists, which is largely pretty solid. But that's the thing, you know, we go back to what we had said just to make sure you guys absolutely have heard us. Just because this was a 2-0 start for the Stallions on the first two maps does not mean whatever it takes is out of the running. This map set is an evenly shared, if not fully preferred map set between both of these two squads. The only outlier to that would be map number 5. So anything is winnable, especially as we start to look forward to map number 4, which will be Gavudu. I don't even know where to start, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to come back through and you know, originally kind of make like some kind of a prediction of like what we're going to get out of whatever it takes. But I feel like after that map, and also after what we got coming through there from Zinx, which was an excellent round number 5, like maybe that's what they needed, right, to be able to bring this series back. And I still think that you look at this whatever it takes roster, and something we were certainly praising this team for was the fact that their ARs were really good throughout season 1. We had great things to say about Brack when it came down to the consistency throughout the respawns, and specifically in his S&D. The same can be said for Zinx. And now that you have Pentagram, who I have to imagine is probably going to be the third player running the AR, you should have a ton of slaying power coming in. And after, I think, a heater like the map number 3, like, very well could come through and potentially still get us to a Berlin Search and Destroy. So I think that this is all really good here for the side of whatever it takes. And we come back to the question that you had posed originally, where it's like, hey, listen, like, do you think that they're out of the series if they don't take the Tuscan Search and Destroy? There's a reason I said no, because of what they're capable of doing in this respawns. And especially on a map like Gavutu, I think this is where they could potentially, you know, find a lot of value and shut down the Stallions, because you know, they have shown a lot of weaknesses before when we don't see the subs kind of get into those annoying positions and really create space for their ARs to get into circle, to get to the top ship.
It's just, we find ourselves in the same kind of ballpark when we were talking about our first overall matchup. Like, there have been moments when we've watched both of these teams dominate everything you could possibly want out of a Gavudu hardpoint, especially for the Stallions yesterday. They smoked Infamous here. 250-102 was the final score. Everything was going their way yesterday. But the same thing we've said about whatever it takes also kind of persists. You know, their big win was versus UYU, a team that loves this map, by the way.
Yeah.
Pardon me, that was their big loss. Sorry, they lost that map 116-250, but they've had some significant wins in their time to this group stage as well. So it's kind of hard to, like, again, pick favorites when it comes to this map mode combo, really throughout all 4 of our opening maps that we've had so far. Expect to see some tight decision makings that are going to be the determination of victory and loss, I think, in this map. I think all the points that you bring up, talking about a couple of those key locations, it's not just getting there, it's, I think, when you get there and how many players do you want to send to make sure you actually hold on to those locations. So I think those decisions are going to be where a lot of the stress comes from in the middle of this map as we start to get into the thick of it.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I mean, I still feel like this is a team, whatever it takes, never going to go down quietly. If you're going to do it, do it here now. Just don't even worry about a map 5. And don't even think about, you know, having to actually close things out after being 2-0 up. Because I will say, the Stallions, they've definitely choked out a couple of 2-0 series before. I want to say they did it in week number 1 versus Ultra Academy, right? Where it looked like things were looking really solid. Okay, this is our chance to put this one away, get a win on the board. But it didn't come through here. So this is where I feel like you want to get it done. You don't want to even think about a map number 5. But on the other hand, I mean, whatever it takes, they have to think about the map number 5. They need the map number 5 if they want playoffs here. Again, do or die for this squad. They find the win in the control. But can they carry that over to Gavutu? Can we get a similar performance out of Zinx, out of Pentagram, just going beast mode to lock in and secure that map win? Let's see if they can do it here again, Alan.
Oh, boy. I feel like there's going to be one or two things that happens right here, Austin. We're either going to get a 250 to 240 plus barn burner, or it's going to be a 100-point smoke show. I don't think we're going to get something in between. I think it's going to be just a blowout, or it's going to be the tightest game you've ever seen. And Zinx has opened us up with a 3-piece. Not able to turn that into much hardpoint time, though, as the Stallions will counter with some pretty significant kills of their own. The problem is Cryptic is really the last member left, and he was hoping that Kaiser would help from mid-map. That would not occur, and the cleanup will be there. A flawless start for Zinx on 4-0.
Yep. Really big opening. Zinx already maybe thinking about an early glide bomb and takes a long range out. It's a little heat check, you know, he's just feeling himself, right? He's like, can I get away with this? No, you can't, but it's still fine. Whatever it takes, they're going to be able to come out with the majority of the time on P1. So still really massive for them, but they have to start to worry about this rotation. They have to battle from the top of the ship where you can already see Too Real posted up with an automaton, ready to start slaying down everyone who makes that move over. So they will get the first touch. It's a really tight setup. 3 players right now all around the ship here for the Stallions.
And Pentagram, I assume he's going to have a second SMG for this. You see Proto number 1 in blue. He's kind of making sure nobody defensively for the Stallions can come back to reinforce this. But the trades are even, and these positions are figured out, and the Stallions will make good on it. A full cleanup. Brack the last one for whatever it takes, able to at least tally up another elimination, allowing him a chance to even look in and contest on top of that. How has Brack snuck away a second kill? That will neutralize the hard point, and whatever it takes will continue to enjoy their near 30-point lead.
Oh, Too Real. I like this. He's just going to fly forward. Might make some noise in the process, but I think he can get all the way to the back. The spawns are here. One player going to spawn up here with Zinx, but Zinx is not ready for it right away. Too Real now for 1. Oh, for the second. Too Real making the rotational plays happen, but he's still all alone. His teammates starting to get with him inside of circle. The spawn's in the back here, but Too Real not even worried about it. He's just going to run right to the hard point.
This is a difficult decision, I think, for Too Real. You would have loved to have put a little bit more pressure onto the spawns themselves, especially with the clean kills that come through. So whatever it takes spawning close, have the benefit of nades. But Yuli, quick cut around the pin, shut down by Zinx. Cryptic there to follow up, but it does not make a difference. The hard point stays blue, and the Stallions have to regain as they try to set up for another break.
Yeah, they really do. They will be able to get Proto off of Godheady. That's all 4 players essentially dropping. Zinx does come off of spawn, cuts down 1, but can't get the second, and it's the moment that this happens. Halfway through the hill, delaying the rotation, forcing whatever it takes to move in for this time to battle out of their spawn here. And Pentagram is able to throw himself right back on the time. We'll see if there's a second for Kaiser. Yes, there is. Few in a row there for him. Delays so much time for his team.
Look at the spawns, though. Whatever it takes. There was a 1v1 for Proto off screen. He wins with the pistol. That started to pull his teammates to spawn on the other side of the map. So they get not just essentially 40 seconds with the time on the second hard point, they also win the setup coming into new. That said, though, the Stallions do have some pretty significant ground to be taken from the bottom side of the map. Nades starting to fly on in. Proto able to survive and regen off of that. Nades will help him try to open up some hill pressure from the front, and the Stallions, they can't find a single kill to start. Still some patience, though, echoing across this jungle area. Proto watches 1 slide through. He'll communicate that to Brack, who picks up the alley, and with that, whatever it takes, looking good on their initial hold.
Oh, this is all Brack right now, man. Jeez. 5 in a row. Oh, my. Give him number 6. Yuli's got a challenge, and Brack says, okay, who's up next? Who's giving me my glide bomb right now? I mean, it feels like he's gotten ridiculous amount of kills off of this point alone, and he is still playing so patient. And he's going to get information here on towards the next here. A chance for the glide bomb, but you still have to make the rotation in player 3. Pentagram, he's the route man.
Yep. He's already opened up this entire backside. The Stallions think that they've got good control in the middle of the map, but they have no idea what moved through the beach side, so they're kind of bunkered up in the middle on the ship. What happens to the spawns here? How about it? Number 7 and Kaiser actually spawns behind P5. I mean, Pentagram and Proto, who made this route happen, should be aware of this, knowing that their teammates are still spawning old. And that's actually a little bit of bless up luck there for the Stallions that they still spawn behind, considering Proto's position. That said, that's 30 seconds of hardpoint time that has not been accrued by either team, mostly and most namely from the Stallions' point of view, who looked good for the rotation. They will put together a couple of points here and there, and they also have Yuli working for streaks, but both of those things are going to get shut down to the same breath as 3 kills come out for whatever it takes.
Here we go. Brack down low on the point. Will be taken out. Nice challenge for Too Real. He floods right to the ship because he knows rotation about to take place here for us. But the Stallions, they're in a really rough position. They're going to be down by just about a full hard point, a little bit more. And they're going to have to find a break here convincingly and fast. Too Real with 3 in a row. Looking for 4 inside of the circle. He'll deliver onto Pentagram, and the Stallions will be able to get in for now.
But the contest coming through. Oh my goodness, Too Real. How do you respond to that? Gets out with his life now on 5. Help starting to reinforce from behind as Kaiser, Cryptic make their way in, and Two Real's able to fully reset. Playing for 2 eliminations. The Stallions also looking favorable for this back 32 Real! They line up for 2 Real. 8 straight glide bomb earned.
Oh, 2 Real, man. Oh, 8 in a row. Ready to challenge 9 onto Zinx. Oh my. Takeover mode is activated. The Stallions back in the game. Gonna be down 30 points. They needed a strong P1 and they get it. And now they have zoning through the front. Yuli, how many can he come up with? Able to find that first one, but quickly traded there from Pentagram. Brack with another. So we get all of that time going over to Real, still focused on making sure the beach side is clear, but it is fine. It's all about the attention now. Over to New, and 2 Real still alive on the spree. 9 in a row. Pentagram finally ends it.
The thing about it is, even with that little couple of shots on the Pentagram, that slows down whatever it takes from being able to fully envelop this hard point. Yuli continuing to find himself really just scrappy battles where he's really forced to have to respond second. And it allows whatever it takes to finally get a favorable kill feed and get back into the hard point time. Most importantly, they've stopped the Stallions from putting together a bit of a route to get over towards P3. But still significant time to fight for here, and the Stallions are not going to give away this 20 seconds freely. A couple of kills come through cleanly between Cryptic and Kaiser, leaving Proto the last one left for whatever it takes. And he's actually going to take a little bit of a peek inside. And boy, he's going to like what he sees. Finds the first blood in this engagement, gets away with his life. Kaiser looking to chase him down will successfully neutralize, and with that, the scrap time does go with the Stallions, and in the whole time, they've actually stopped whatever it takes from putting together a significant setup for 3.
Yeah, they've stopped him from actually moving over to the hill, but 2 Real.
Perfect.
He's going to get all the information here. 1 in the back. Brack is dead. 2 more players are going to drop at the exact same time. And the Stallions, once again, able to reach the P3 tank. But here we go. Right back is going to be another glide bomb. Brack should be able to find the player up top, but decides to go inside of the point. How does he not find him with the glide? He moves inside of the inner part of the tank, keeps his life, and this is disaster for whatever it takes.
2 Real still alive? What? How has he done this? He doesn't just keep his life, he finds 3 kills after the glide bomb misses him by maybe near inches.
Lead change.
And now Cryptic's putting some pressure over towards the rotation. As you mentioned it, the state of the game starts to tilt in favor of the Stallions. A wise man has said it's never chalked. And apparently, the mythology behind that statement may have been originated by 2 Real, who has put together 2 massive sprees. And how about the spawn flip coming through? The Stallions are doing it.
They're absolutely doing it, but now they need to break into the back. Just need to win it on these battles. Kaiser there for Pentagram. 2 Real and Kaiser, everyone winning their individual battles. They have cleaned out whatever it takes in the back, and now there's 40 seconds up for grabs. 2 Real pushing the envelope, going to the front of the point, zoning out the middle of the map here. So the play now exists through the beach side for the side of whatever it takes, but they're not winning battles. Everyone is just being gunned down.
2 Real's on 6 again, bro. He's going to get another streak here. He's got a free look. There's number 7.
Goodness.
There's number 8. 2 Real is taking over. It's his world, and whatever it takes are just happening to barely live in it. Help coming through by all the other automatons in the middle of the map. This might be another rotational win. Zinx has nothing to do but fall. 2 Real looking for double digits. Put him to the dirt, why don't you? 227 to 171, and there has yet to be a single point amounted to whatever it takes in the last 2 hills.
Not one ridiculous spree, but how about 2? But you do get to take a breath of fresh air for a quick moment. Whatever it takes, they are not out. But this needs to be a convincing hold, and now everyone from the Stallions going to start to take additional routes, take their time on this break. They know they don't have a lot of map control, so 2 players going through the ship, 2 players trying to work in through green, and they're going to be able to find 1, make that 2, make that 3. Here come the Stallions on the push.
Pentagram's got to hold. He has to hold his life for as long as humanly possible. You cannot give away this time, and Pentagram has done more than enough. He finds 2 kills. Kaiser, though, finding the safety of some barrels, will hold his life for a little while longer, allowing some contest. Proto caught during the reload means that 13 seconds could go the way of the Stallions. And on old time, Yuli gets a double. He's able to lock down the scrap. Whatever it takes, have to be perfect here on P1. But it's the Stallions who are here first with streaks to use. See you later. There's 248, 249, and the Stallions race their way to playoffs with a win with whatever it takes.
Oh, the team that started off so bad in week number 1 will be able to move into playoffs, and we get so many ridiculous plays to get us there, Alan. I mean, it's a 9 spree, followed by a 10 spree, followed by a ridiculous amount of individual plays coming through on the Stallions time after time. It's madness! It's madness, Alan! We're here for it,
March
baby!
Madness, baby! Oh my goodness. Too real. That is the equivalent of a triple-double for him. Are you kidding me?
Yes, it is.
Two massive streaks, plus the ability, even though he doesn't find streaks off that kind of middle life, he's the one that locks down the rotation completely. What a series. What a map from Too Real. This is after, by the way, that we were kind of talking about how the Stallions were lacking in that ability to maybe even rock a flex player in the first place, right? I mean, he nearly goes double pause. And the thing about it is, look at Cryptic. He went 30 and 17 for nearly 4K damage. Are you kidding me?
The crazy thing about this is that Cryptic has now done this so consistently, it's almost just feeling like, oh, well, he did it again. Like, it's just like another game of Cryptic dropping 30. Like, how consistent has he been? I mean, this has just been such a crazy turnaround from a player that we just have never really talked about to now constantly mentioning at the end of these games, because he is just always being a big performer for his squad. And I mean, obviously Too Real right there up there with them, 29 and 16, 25 non-traded kills. Like, he was one of the hardest kills on the map. The AR is just doing everything they needed to do to set the team up for success, and they get there with the success. 3-1 victory, taking down whatever it takes. Oh, man, what a turnaround for the Stallions. They were 0-2 in week 1, day 1, I want to say, and they just completely turned this around.
Oh, my goodness, bro. Playoffs are about to be unbelievable. Unbelievable is not even the right word for it. I don't have the diction to talk through what adjectives I could talk about what playoffs are going to be. But what we do know is what the playoffs are going to look like. Texas Nation, Bear Claw, we're good to go going into today. They're playing up against each other, I believe, right now, if the series isn't already over. No, they're still playing. I believe they're coming out of a control. Yeah, they did. Bear Claw just took the control 3-2. And then on top of that, with that win, the Stallions have mitigated a large tiebreaker situation to their favor, qualifying for playoffs. Alongside of that, UYU needed the Stallions to win to get in. So with that, we have our top 4, Texas Nation, Bear Claw, Stallions, UYU. Missing out on the tiebreaker situation would be whatever it takes in Infamous Esports. Holy smokes, bro. And that's just group stage. You thought that was fun. Next week's playoffs are about to be something you've never experienced before.
You know, it's always funny. We see that, and then like we come to the conclusion at the end of our point, like, oh yeah, that's just group stage. That's just it. That's just the group stage. We got playoffs. Last playoffs were so fun. Double elimination bracket, 4 teams coming into play, and so many upsets along with so many expectations coming in towards stage 2. But you can only have 4 teams of the 8 that make it in. And I think this will be a really special 4 that we get here for North America with so much upset potential. I mean, the Stallions, a squad again, like, you just can't gas these guys enough here. This was incredible stuff here from them. Big congratulations for icing up. I'm sure Zoom Mafia right now is probably going absolutely ballistic. And I mean, why wouldn't they? What a turnaround.
Unreal stuff, my friends. But with that, we have concluded the group stage in Season 2 of Challengers Elite. All 4 teams from both Europe and North America now sit and prepare as they get ready for the playoffs next week. 2:00 p.m. Eastern time for Europe, and of course, North America to follow for the double elimination bracket. Do not miss it.